This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation. Welcome back to another wonderful, magical retelling. Oh, my retelling month it is. I am, of course, Miranda, and this is Bells with Books, and I am not alone. I say this every time. If I'm ever alone, something bad has happened. So, I am joined forever by the beautiful one and only Bianca.
Hello!
Hello! How are you doing over there, Bianca?
I'm good. You just got back from a trip. How are you doing?
I am good. It was a quick trip. It was like 2 hours away, Friday afternoon till Sunday afternoon. So it was a very magical, fantastical city.
You had a very snowy Valentine's Day.
We did. Well, I had snow here at the house too, so even if we'd stayed home, we would have had snow.
Florida is back to our regularly scheduled programming, and we are in the 60s and 70s again, so I'm very happy.
Aren't you guys supposed to get like another cold wave though?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to come in. Actually, I think tonight it's supposed to move in, and then our highs for like the rest of the week are in like the 50s, and I'm like, no!
That's like
I was already rocking a sweater today of like 65.
Oh my god. No. 65 is a t-shirt.
Brad was in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And James was in shorts.
James, I feel like the last time I feel like James is just always in shorts. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, I feel like James is always in shorts.
Oh, but Susan says to say hey, so we'll both shout out hey, Susan, right now.
To the woman who thought that, should we call her out here? We can call a few of our friends out, actually. Just really quickly. Are there any of our listeners who are Fourth Wing fans that thought the scribes just didn't talk? All of them? Collectively?
We had two of our close friends, blew their minds when they figured out that Jacinia is deaf. Legit
like,
deaf. They were like, we thought it was just a scribe thing.
Oh. Which, I mean, I do understand, because most of the time the scribes don't really say anything. They're like really awkward, and they'll just like walk up and they'll like point and be like, over there. There is a few times I do remember they'll be like, where's Jacinia? And they'll be like, she's over there. So I think I
was like, in book 1 they have like a whole conversation with different scribes.
I thought so. But like the book 2 and 3 though, it's just been like hey, she's over there. Like, it's not been like in depth like that I can. Well, if there was, I don't remember it.
And then one of my coworkers thought the same thing. I blew her mind Friday because she finally finished Onyx Storm, and she was like, Bianca, I have to talk to you. And I was like, tell me. And then I said something about Jacinia, and she was like, oh yeah, I just think it's weird how all the scribes just use sign language. And I just stared at her.
See, and I'm in a chat group of a different group of ladies that I know, and there's 6 of us in there, and one of them was like, so does anybody understand why the scribes are all deaf? And I was like, oh my god.
Oh, great times.
So I need one of you to tell me, genuinely, not going to make fun of you, why you thought that. Because like, I'm hardcore trying to, because I remember it being very blatant that they explained in book 1 that Jacinia was deaf. And so just throwing that out there to one of you that thought that. I'm obviously you don't believe that anymore, but whoever of our group that was like hardcore, like, what? Can you tell me what led you to believe that so that I can better understand, please?
That was our first piece of book news, so maybe we've already blown everybody's minds with that.
Yeah.
The next thing that we'll say revisit, is since we've last recorded, there has been a lot that has come out about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. And I made a statement on the last time we talked about this, didn't I? And I was like, this is all I'm going to say. I think I've changed my mind.
Well, go ahead. Tell us what you think.
If anyone comes after me, okay. So I have watched and read and watched and read and watched and read everything I can consume with this lawsuit. And I hate to say it, but I think Blake is a mean girl.
Yep.
I think she has been, and at first I was like, oh, she a closeted mean girl. And then, okay, they have been reminding me of things I saw with my own eyes, interviews I have watched her give before. And I'm like, no, she's not been closeted mean girl. She's been mean girl right in front of our eyes. And we just, Delulu, I don't know.
I think her PR people were just able to spin it in a way that it didn't come off as mean. It came off more as like sarcastic in a way.
And I get that because I am very sarcastic.
Like dry.
No, that's not dry. It's not dry humor. And it's, I don't know. I get it maybe a few times, but there were a few of them that they are blatantly rude.
Yeah.
And I get it. Not every person is going to get along with every person. Like, you're not meant to, like, there's some people in this world that you're just not going to like. And this goes for celebrities too, right? Like, there are going to be interviewers and people that they come across that, like, for no real reason, they just don't like that person. And I understand that. But unfortunately, you are in the public view where there is a certain air that even if you don't like the person that is interviewing you, there's just an etiquette and a professionalism that you have to carry. And you have to kind of
just like with any job.
Exactly. If somebody comes into your job, or if I deal with someone when I'm giving a lesson that is just being like, there's a way you have to handle it. Like, you can't just decide that, like, you're going to behave. There are certain times where I match people's energy, but it's not that. It's not then.
Well, and a lot of things have come to light that Ryan Reynolds has been way more involved than anyone previously thought.
This 100% breaks my heart.
It breaks mine too. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing?
Which I went back and there's an interview that Martha Stewart gave, and she's like, Ryan Reynolds is not funny.
And she says it like serious.
Like she's
not like joking.
Like, and she even says, like, his movies are funny. Like, he is funny. His movies are good. But, like, he's an actor. And in real life, he's not funny. He's not great. He's not that great. And I was like, you know what? That could make sense, though, because I'm sure you've worked with people that at work, they're two different people. Like, the work them and the home them are two different people. And so now I'm like, what is happening? And then, like, there's a lot of these claims that she makes that 100%, there's receipts from Justin as to, like, which, listen, there are some things from him that I still think is a little,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's, like, innocent.
He's not a perfect person.
He's not. And there's some voice message. They're not voice messages. Not voicemails, but, like, just like a voice message, like on WhatsApp or whatever. They're a little creepy. But I also think in some ways they're out of context because, like, if somebody took a random voice message I sent you, just one, right, and they listened to it, they might not understand, like, anything
what's going on
to go with it, like the background of it or why, because he makes some comments and he's like, you probably got a baby slapped to your boob, and I'm like, okay, well, what personal conversations have they had that made him believe he can say, like, be so blasé about certain things? Like, so I feel like, yes, while this voice message is long, it's like 6.5 minutes long.
Yes.
And I listened to the whole thing.
Which, to be fair, he was responding to, like, a literal novel that she had written him.
Yes. And then, oh my God, her words that she uses when she writes somebody a message. I'm not a fan of if I text somebody and they give me the thumbs up or the K, but, like, seriously, a lot of the things that she said could have been a okay. Like, could have been like a three words. Yeah. I'm all for using your SAT vocabulary, but, like, it makes her sound pretentious. Instead of, like, I'm really smart, I want to use my words.
I mean, ChatGPT exists.
That's true.
I'm not trying to say that anyone is not intellectual enough to compose sentences like that, but I'm just saying ChatGPT is a readily available resource for anyone to use.
Right. I also do think there are people in this world that do compose sentences like that, and it just makes them sound idiotic instead of smart. Like, yeah. I know somebody's going to be like, no, those are big words. No, it's dumb. It's because to me, if you are a person that is that smart and you are consistently using words in conversations that the normal person in their vernacular, they would not, it makes me believe that you're trying to show them that you're smarter than them. Like, I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you. So, like, I don't like it. So I know last time I said I wasn't taking a side, but after devouring probably like 20 hours worth of content on this, to include like video clips, voice messages, text threads, email chains, people deleting now, and I'm also adding with the fact that there are other people that are part of this group that are not making statements, that are unfriending people on social media, that are making vague statements, that are slipping into the like shadows. And then there's been some photos that have come out too that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even look at it. When I originally looked at that photo, I didn't even look at it that way. And now I'm looking at it in a whole different light. I don't know if you've thought about this, because I forgot to ask you about this in our thread with our friends, but have you seen the photos that like it's Blake and Colleen together doing like PR stuff? And it's like Blake is always like having to adjust Colleen's hair, or like,
yeah, she's always like just nitpicking something.
Yeah. And they said it's kind of like the pick me girl or the pick me bridesmaid, where they're not actually trying to help the bride, they're trying to pull attention to themselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even, so all those what I thought were like really sweet moments of like, you know, they'd become friends and she was just adjusting Colleen. But now that I'm looking back,
it wasn't like an Ariana Grande and what's her name, lift the finger, hold the finger moment. This is just like monkeys picking at each other.
Yeah, it's more like when you point out specifically something is wrong with someone to like make yourself look better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your hair's in your face. Let me adjust that for you. Or instead of politely saying, like whispering, like if Bianca and I are at dinner and one of us had food in our teeth, we wouldn't look at the other one and be like, hey, you've got food. Hey, babe, just a little in your teeth. We would not do that, because that's not what friends do. You like lean over and you whisper to the person like, hey, you have, or you text them and then you, with your eyes, subtly indicate you need to read your phone because you got food in your teeth. Like, it's that kind of energy versus like, hey, babe, you have food in your teeth where everyone can hear it. Like, that's rude. Yeah. That's like you're trying to make that person feel less than. And I was like, I officially have a side now. So I don't think Blake is I don't think Justin is perfect. I think some things border on a little creepy. But I'm reading a lot of people that know him personally say like that's just his demeanor, like always.
Yeah.
So he just comes off as, I think he's a naturally overly flirty person, like just a naturally, I hate to use
like I would call it charming.
Yeah. Yeah, like he just has this sort of charm, and it's different than like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's perfect, because I think he does have a personality where there's a lot of his personality stuff that he does balances on this line of like, are you flirting, or are you just one of those people? Because listen, when I was growing up, I used to get accused all the time of, you're such a flirt. And I was like, I wasn't flirting with anybody. Like, you would know if I was flirting with someone. And they'd be like, no, you were flirting. And I was like, well, if you think that's flirting, like, oh my God. So I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. So my stance is, I think Blake's a mean girl. I think this is going to get even nastier. I don't think Justin's perfect. I wish few people would make a statement on how they feel, but I understand why they haven't. And I don't know. The other thing is, do you think the rumor that is being attached to this, that they maybe actually had a fling or possible ideas of a fling, and that's why Ryan started inserting himself, or Ryan felt threatened by him for some reason, and that's why he started inserting himself? I
don't think there was like a relationship or anything, but I definitely get jealousy vibes from Ryan.
Absolutely, because they said initially he had no he had nothing. He was just like supportive husband. And then out of nowhere, he started like showing up on set and like rewriting scenes and yeah. And side note to all of this, I didn't know. So there's a lot of people really mad about how Blake handled Lily's wardrobe.
I've always been mad about that.
Because it doesn't make sense. Lily's broke.
And I absolutely loved the movie. I still love the movie. I was watching it a couple weeks ago when it came on Netflix. I was like,
at this point, I haven't even watched it after all this.
It's still a decent movie. But yeah. So, okay. I'm just going to go ahead and say,
do it.
Candace Owens, mixed feelings about her, obviously, but she has her hand on pop culture most of the time, and she's pretty good at it. And she has been covering this case. Like, she actually just posted some stuff right before we started recording, Miranda, so I will be watching that as soon as we finish. You'll have to tell me about it, because
we've talked about it, and I have watched since you said where you watched, all my content has come from The Sesh, which is one of Kendall Ray's Mile Higher productions. So that's where I'm getting all of my information, plus like different news articles and stuff. So we actually have both been using different oh my goodness.
Outlets.
Thank you.
But they're both saying the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. So.
But Candace actually like did a deep dive on what like it took. Well, it's taken over a week, but there was a full week of her podcast where she exclusively covered everything that's happened with this. Mm-hmm. And in one of the episodes, she covered how the wardrobe for Blake Lively's character Lily came about. And they initially had like the wardrobe set out, and it was a lot more toned down, like a lot more bohemian type vibes. But
it should have been.
It should have been, as it should have been. But there's even an interview where Blake says that she never read the book. And
that was an argument, that my girls were given too. They were like, "You should read the book."
And she had read the script, and all she got from the script was that Lily was this creative person, and Blake took that and ran. And so I guess in her mind, creative people wear stupid outfits, and they also cost tens of thousands of dollars.
But Lily was broke.
And all of the wardrobe pieces came from Blake's own closet, which I mean, that's fine.
It's expensive pieces.
But when you've got a character who is broke trying to start their own business, wearing a $15,000 blouse, what?
Yeah, and it was something about the shoes. There was a pair of shoes that like it's like known that those are like extremely expensive shoes or something.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh.
Her wardrobe was a hot mess. Which, I mean, you've seen the TikToks of people, like, imitating it, and it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Listen, they're fantastic.
She's got, like, 5 layers.
God, I love it so much. I feel like, though, this is a topic that you and I are probably going to be talking about for several months, because you said that as of right now, unless this is all settled outside of court, which I think is probably for the best, but if not, the court trial isn't even set until 2026, and we are only like
March 2026.
Yeah, we're only like 47 days into 2025, so
No, I want to see it go to court just so Justin can have vindication for everything.
Right.
I think that'd be hilarious, but
yeah.
So yeah, we will probably make this a staple. We'll just have the Blake and Justin minute.
We may, exactly. We probably just have a new segment at this point called Blake and Justin. Because I feel like every time I turn around, there's like some new piece of information. Well, not necessarily new, but it's like an addendum to.
Yeah. But
just solidifying like one side or the other. But like, because now, I mean, listen, we've got Colleen involved. We've got your girl Tay-Tay involved. We've got.
Oh, yeah.
And she gets brought up as like maybe she made some creative decisions, and there was a meeting that she was part of that made Justin uncomfortable as well, because he was like,
but then again, you have Blake obviously using Taylor's name to get her way. So that like there's all kind of angles.
There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot. We don't have time for all that.
If you don't want us to give our own, maybe if we can find the time, we could do a special episode minute of just everything. If you don't want to watch either one of our outlets, but you want to know more, sure. I mean, because I literally feel like I could just keep talking about this, but
yeah.
So I'm assuming with everything we've talked about off air, like in our friend group and stuff, you are also more towards Team Justin.
To be fair, I've always been Team Justin. Like, I've always been a fan of Blake and her work, but I've always known she's been a mean girl ever since her Gossip Girl days. I've known that.
Well, I mean,
her and Leighton Meester,
they just come across as the best. Like, how do you can't play that good of a mean girl and not be a mean girl?
Yeah, nah.
Which listen, I do love Gossip Girl. I do love Gossip Girl.
Oh, I do too. Fantastic. But I've always known she's been a mean girl. She's always been a Nepo baby.
But I kind of thought maybe things had changed because in the last few years, everything we've gotten from her and Ryan and her friendship with Taylor and everything, it's been very appealing to the eye, or like
it's been wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. But now I'm beginning to see that was a facade.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She's an actress though, so I mean, she gave us what we wanted. I mean. So I don't know that I'm necessarily team Justin specifically, because like I said, I think there's some icky in there, but I don't necessarily think maybe he did it intentionally. But I definitely ain't Team Blake. I'll just go ahead and say that. Last time I was like, I'm not taking sides. Oh yeah, I'm taking sides.
Well, something that I am a fan of is a bookstore down in Largo, Florida. Mm-hmm. They are called We Rescue Books. Their website, they have a website now. You just can't order anything from it. It says that live inventory will be available this fall and it will be shippable worldwide. But what they do,
huge. Worldwide is like,
yes,
hard.
So what they do is they rescue books. They receive books from organizations that dump tons of books weekly into the landfill. They rehome what they can. Most books are priced $1 to $3 to the in-store and soon-to-be online store. They repurpose any clean books that they can rehome, and they clean any books that they can't rehome, and they try to repurpose them into special arts and crafts supplies or projects or something like that. And then anything that they're unable to rehome or repurpose, they do their best to recycle.
See, I think that's fantastic, and that goes into I'd have to look back on what episode it was of ours, but we were talking about, we were trying to explain to people that were so angry about like all of the tossed away books, specifically from libraries.
Yeah.
And I think now, because they could even take those books and be like, okay, well, this makes a great art, here's craft supplies, like you said. So I think that is absolutely genius.
That's what, but you can find them. They are werescuebooks.com.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a physical store. It's down in Largo, Florida. It's down near Tampa, St. Pete area.
Have you been yet?
I have not. All of their kids' books are $1. Their paperbacks are $2. Hardcovers are $3. What they consider vintage is $5, and they have a section of antiquarian that are $8.
This is fantastic. It says book rehoming specialist on their website.
But I came across a TikTok about them and I was like, I need to look this up. So I am very intrigued. Next time I'm in the Orlando area, I might take a little 2-hour detour and be like, hey, Brad, nudge, nudge.
You said it's near Tampa, so there's all kinds of stuff to do.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Check out their website. It looks like they also in-store have vinyls, cassettes, video games, VHS, comics. So
I was very excited to come across that.
I think that's an excellent find, because unfortunately I do think that too many books, people just throw them away, which baffles me, but it happens. It happens. So that's brilliant.
And then news that made my week last week.
Oh my God.
Which it makes me feel really old to say this. But the Twilight 20-year anniversary is coming up this year. let's all take a collective deep breath while we process that. But on the plus side, we are getting some fantastic anniversary editions of these books.
From multiple sources, too.
Yes. The first is a collection. They're mainly black, but there are stylistic, artistic drawings on them all, and it comes in a book set, like a book box. Those are pretty cool. Not really my vibe. The ones that are my vibe are the very, very pretty, glittery gold, floral, and just very springy, like Bridgerton. Like the color palette of Bridgerton in a book for Twilight, they are gorgeous.
But also the one with the black and red on the, like...
There is another edition that has I call it the new standard Twilight cover. Mm-hmm. It's not the one that we grew up with per se, but they redid the cover like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago at this point.
When they put out that other book.
Yeah. When was it Midnight Sun?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Midnight Sun came out, they redid all the covers where they were kind of the same, but they were still different, and it pissed some people off. Anyways, so it's that new cover, but it has sprayed edges.
And on the sprayed edges, like on the one side, it says, "And so the lion fell in love with the lamb."
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I know that you and I, we're big planners when it comes to our podcast, and I know that we're planned out, like, pretty far. I'm thinking, though, we may have a discussion about maybe a Twilight episode. And do, like, a reread. I understand if we can't get through all of them, but, I mean, I can. I know you can.
I always... So my yearly rereads are the first Harry Potter book.
Yep.
And either Twilight or Eclipse, because those are my two favorites in the series. Mm-hmm. I literally read those every year. So I'm always down for it.
The fact here's my problem. Like, you know that I am so ready to turn the age that I'm about to turn in like a month. Like, I'm actually excited for it. But for some reason, when they came out the other day and they were like, 20th anniversary of Twilight, and you added that to Miranda will be 40, I was like, what is happening? What the actual...
Girl, I feel old. I know you feel old too, but that's
especially, so I'm gonna have to call her out. I'm gonna have to call my friend Mariah out. But she texted me the other day. She sends me this TikTok, and it's like, if you were a Twilight teen, you're now a something adult. And I messaged her back and I said, Mariah, what if you were a Twilight adult? And she goes, well, it's okay, I still reread them all the time. I was like, Mariah, do you not understand how old I am? I was an adult when they came out. Like, I had a baby and everything. And she was like, oh. But in all fairness, these books were actually introduced to me by my sister-in-law, who is older than me. And she came to visit me when we first moved to Alabama. And she had book 1 and book 2, I think, with her. And you could tell she had read book 1, like, multiple times. And I was like, oh, what are you reading? Because we're both big readers. She's one of the ones that always tried to get me to read Nora Roberts. And I was like, well, I'll try, but And she's like, you'd love this book. I said, you said this last time and I didn't. And she's like, no, you would love this book. And so she's like, how about we go to the bookstore and I'll buy you your own copy, because as you can see, I am not willing to give this up. And so she bought it for me. And then I, like, devoured what I could at that point, like, because, you know, not everything was out, like,
yeah.
But yeah, so I feel less weird about being an adult that got into it, because my sister-in-law is like 15 years older than me, 16 years older than me. So okay,
we're twihards for life.
Absolutely. Which I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure you and I were both the same team.
Team Edward. Always and forever.
Well, 2 reasons for me. 1, come on, like, Edward. 2, the fact that I was the age I was when the movies came out, I had a really hard time being like, ooh, with Taylor Lautner, because that's gross.
He was actually, like, almost playing his character's age.
Yeah, he was like 15, 16, I think. So, no. Now, he has grown into a handsome man. Like, he's a man. He's a full-blown man now. But,
Yeah.
no. So, I mean, Edward's older than me.
Speaking of aging properly, Robert Pattinson he's in a movie called Mickey 17, and he was at the London premiere for it, and he was walking the carpet and everything. The man's jaw. Oh.
Right?
And he hasn't really aged all that much.
No. Is he a vampire? Question.
I mean, like, you can tell he's obviously older and stuff. And he's a father now. I can't process that. How old is he? I have no idea.
Oh, actually, we're only a year apart in age.
Oh, okay.
He's 38. He will be 39 in May.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he looks a lot of the same.
Yeah.
He just has, like, the smile lines and stuff like we all do at this age, at this point. But, like, his look good on him. He doesn't look... Listen, Hollywood...
He's distinguished.
He is, because sometimes in Hollywood at 38, it's like, whoo, you looking rough. He is not. That's funny that you mentioned him being dad. There's an article from BBC that came out 2 days ago where he says being a dad makes life more fun.
Aww.
That's so sweet.
He's so adorable. That man.
The thing is,
you better appreciate him.
It breaks my heart, though, that he's like, I don't want to do this.
Of course, he better appreciate Suki while I'm talking about it. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, since a lot of books get turned into movies, and Twilight was turned into a movie, and we will always love those forever as well, do you want to do a little quick on over to our adaptation minute?
Sure. The first one I have listed is not a true, like, adaptation. It's something that I just wanted to mention. While James and Susan were down this weekend, Susan and I got our nerd on, and we found this documentary on Amazon Prime called The Booksellers. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit older. A couple of the people in the film...
2019.
Yeah, but it was pre-COVID and pre-book explosion and book talk and everything. So some of what they mention is no longer applicable today. And we were pointing that out because we're super nerds. But
That's interesting that it's not that long ago and things can be that different.
And the whole landscape has changed now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's basically about antiquarian and vintage book dealers and how they got into the business, how the business works. Back in 2019, how the business was going, which, spoiler alert, back then wasn't great.
No.
So I kind of wish they would do an updated documentary, but it was really, really interesting to hear all these people be very passionate about books and the love of books and why books are important. They have various book dealers, librarians, historians, archaeologists, all on there discussing the written word. It was very interesting. It's a very niche topic. I know that, but I was in my ultimate happy place watching it. So if you have Amazon Prime, look up The Booksellers.
I'm absolutely going to watch this. That is so weird, though, because you're right. I remember in 2019, we even had a discussion, like, I think maybe it'd been you, Susan, and I, where we were talking about, like, is this the end of bookstores? Like that, I remember being, like, Barnes & Noble was like, we're going to,
Barnes & Noble was actively closing
stores. They were, like, closing places. Even, like, places like Second and Charles were like, maybe we're not. It's just so strange how in such a small stretch of time, when you think about it, it is not that long ago. It's not even a full 10 years that we're talking about things being so different in the book world.
Yeah. Like, a lot of bad things came from the Panini press and everything like that. Yeah. But one good thing is that it revived the written word.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate the Panini, but...
Yeah. And then the other one we wanted to mention is, which we both discovered that we've only read the first book and maybe the first 2 books in the series, but the House of Night series by PC Cast and Kristen Cast is officially being adapted at Netflix into a film series. Which I sent you a TikTok. I want to say they said that the first 2 books are going to be combined into one, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
I could be misquoting that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Could be. For those of you that haven't read it, really quickly, apparently House of Knife follows Zoe, whose life is forever changed when a genetic mutation marks her as a fledgling vampire, forcing her to leave everything behind. And she's to go to this boarding school where people that are the marked learn to endure their transformation. And so it's her navigating like the lows and the highs of teenage love, shifting friendships, independence, of course. So it is considered YA. Very on par with kind of Twilight age group, basically. And I have read other PC Cast books, and I don't know if we talked about this here on the pod or if it was like us. Sometimes I don't know if the things we discussed were here or just in our life.
Yeah,
like
I can't keep it straight. I don't know.
I can't either. So I have read some PC and Kristen Cast, who are a mother-daughter duo. I've read some of their like witchy books, and I do enjoy them. I don't remember why I never went further than book two. I think 2 was it for me. And you said you only did 1.
I know I for sure read the first one
Yeah,
as a little teeny bopper at my very first job as a hostess. The other hostess was like, Bianca, I know you like to read. You need to read this series. And she loaned me the first book. And I remember being like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I was like 16. So
yeah, I read them because our babysitter, like the babysit Kaden, it was her favorite series, and she and I talked about books a lot, went to the bookstore together. You know, she and I were really close, and she was like, please read these, please. And this was about the time that she and I were both reading Pretty Little Liars, so I was like, okay. But I was like really into those Pretty Little Liars books, which also about teenagers, but don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff happening in those books that like,
yeah, that's another thing that turned me off, because it was not the YA I was accustomed to.
It's borderline on more adulty, if I remember correctly.
And 16-year Bianca was in shock.
I imagine, because we call them Bianca no-nos now. I can't imagine what 16-year-old Bianca was like yeeting the book. What is this? This is real. I'm just kidding.
Don't call me out like that, Miranda.
No. Bianca knew what it was, but she was not ready for it, okay?
No.
No. 16-year-old Miranda was like, oh, I've done been reading this for a while. Listen, one day I'll tell the story of how I ended up reading books that I should not have read, and it started in like 3rd grade.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. Anyway, so the movie, if you were a House of Night fan, I'm sure you're going to be really excited. Or if you were just like a vampire novel fan and you're like, I never read it, but I would like to go there now. I am excited because Bianca sent me the Hollywood Reporter link to the article about it. And I was like, wait a second. It's presenting movie adaptations at European film market. What? So that tells me, which a lot of movies are shot in Europe now. A lot.
Well, and it's a better setting for this series anyway, because it's a gothic setting.
Well, and this sounds really horrible, but it's the truth. It's cheaper.
Yeah, that too.
It is absolutely cheaper for them to use places here.
Yeah.
But Bianca was like, you could be an extra. And I was like, I think I'm a little old for that. Isn't this set? I was like, I can't remember, but isn't this set at like a boarding school, like a high school? And she's like, yeah, you could be a lunch lady.
You're welcome. Setting those expectations early for you.
She calls herself my best friend. Lunch lady. Not like a really cool teacher or, like a parent. I could be a parent. I could be somebody's mom. I mean, I am a mom to an 18-year-old. No, she goes, lunch lady. You know what? Just for that, I'm going to be like, do you need an extra as a lunch lady? Is there anything that happens in a cafeteria? Can I put things on a table like how Edward sits down at a table?
With your fingers on the table.
Yeah, fingers on the table. I'm going to do it in the background and hope that every vampire fan sees me. Oh my God.
I'm crying. I forgot about that.
How do you forget about that? Like,
And the pit stains, he was so sweaty.
Oh, bless his heart. Oh.
Well, I only have one thing to say to that, Miranda. You want to know what it is?
Oh, what is that?
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die, like fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume.
Woo! Welcome to 1926 Shanghai, boys and girls.
We are covering These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. It is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare.
Hence my retelling. Oh, retelling. We're out there retelling.
Excuse me.
It happens.
I was wiping my eyes from all the crying.
I'm great. I'm great.
I'll let you do the little spoiler-free synopsis before we do a deep dive.
Sure. So real quick, how many stars?
I gave it 3.
3. I'm bordering on, I think 3.5. Apparently, when I finished it on, so it's on Kindle Unlimited. Let me go ahead and tell you guys that if you're interested. If you've not read it and you want to go read it before you finish the rest of the pod, it is available on Kindle Unlimited. It is 450 pages, I believe.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it's longer
okay.
than you think it is. If you read on Kindle Unlimited, and this is why I apparently accidentally gave it more stars than I intended to, go all the way to the very last page so that our author, Chloe Gong, gets full credit for you reading the entire book. I've said it on here. It's been a long time. If you did not know that, if you read on Kindle Unlimited, when you get to the end of the book, yeah, you finished the book, but sometimes there's still like 6 more pages and it's like thank yous and links and stuff. Go all the way till you cannot go anymore, and make sure that the author gets full credit for their work. 454 pages on my Kindle.
Okay.
Is what it says. But the last, again, so it technically ends on 449.
Okay. But we chose this one because February is Valentine's month, but we want to do a little bit of a twist on it. This book has been on both of our TBRs for a good hot minute, so we were like, we'll just kill 2 birds with one stone.
And we're both fans of retellings, so yeah.
Go ahead with your synopsis.
Yeah, so the year is 1926, and Shanghai hums to the tune of debauchery. A blood feud between 2 gangs runs the streets red, leaving the city helpless in the grips of chaos. At the heart of it all is 18-year-old Juliet Tsai, a former flapper who has returned to assume her role as the proud heir of the Scarlet Gang, a network of criminals far above the law. Their only rivals in power are the White Flowers, who have fought the Scarlets for generations. And behind every move is their heir, Roma Montagov, Juliet's first love and her first betrayal. When the gangsters on both sides show signs of instability culminating in claws their own throats out, which I gotta talk to you about that. People start to whisper, is it contagion, madness, or a monster in the shadows? As the death toll rises, Juliet and Roma must set their guns and their grudges aside and work together. Because if they can't stop this mayhem, then there will be no city left for them to roll. It is notated that this is perfect for fans of The Last Magician and The Descendant of the Crane. It is a heart-stopping debut in an imaginative retelling of Romeo and Juliet, with rival gangs and a monster in the depths of the Kwangpao River. Sorry, I'm so afraid I'm going to say things wrong in this episode. I've been working on it. I was like, because you know how I am. I have to say things right. So overall feeling on this book, spoiler free, I would say about 3.5 stars. Honestly, I think I did enjoy it. I like a lot of the banter between Juliet and Roma. I also love that you're reading a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, and you would assume it's a lot of a love story, and it's really not. It is more about basically the political environment that is going on.
I was like, it's more about Shanghai as a city than anything.
It is, and they're dealing with, so yeah, they're rival gangs, but there's way more to the rival gang tension that is going on. And they run the city, but you've got the nationalists and the communists during this time, because it's 1926. So some of it is, obviously it's fictional, but some of it is based in...
It's based on true things that happen.
Yeah. And it's very interesting just how they like put all of that together. And then you're also, both characters have like these weaknesses and these internal conflicts that they're dealing with themselves on top of like this love story. I don't know, because listen, this keeps popping up as like romance.
It's not romance.
And I really don't think it's a romance.
It's not.
Is there a story in there that involves the two of them together trying to decide if they want to be together, they used to be together? Yes.
Like, if anything, I would say this is more sci-fi. Sci-fi fantasy?
I could see that. A lot of people were saying horror fantasy.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would, like, the romance is like a subplot.
Yeah, it's like a subplot to the subplot. Exactly. Like, it's not, there's a lot of cultural fusion, a lot of historical context, of course, gang rivalry. I thought like the plot was very intriguing. It's kind of a unique setting. I feel like we don't get a whole lot of like 1920s Shanghai. I feel like we get a lot of 1920s like Harlem, or
I was like, when you think of the 1920s, you typically think of New York City in some capacity. You don't really think of it outside that bubble.
I feel like in the book world, you get a lot of it's either in New York or like in England.
Yeah.
I really loved that this was. So I feel like you're getting, I don't really want to say forced proximity, but more like forced alliance, if you do want to think about the romance part of it, which not really a romance, but.
But with all of that being spoiler free, if you want to read it and come back, feel free to do so, because now we're going to cover the book.
Very much so.
Okay. So it actually opens with that quote that I did earlier from Romeo and Juliet. And then you do have a prologue. And the first sentence is, "In glittering Shanghai, a monster awakens." And instantly I was like, oh, we have a monster? What? So it kind of gives the, like, setting the scene of Shanghai. It really immerses you into the city. The city's life has an essence. The night's growing dark. The monster pushes itself up, emerges out of the water of the, what river? The Hongpu River.
Hwang. Yeah, Hwang.
Yeah. There's different cultures mixing in Shanghai. The French have a heavy presence there. The English have a heavy presence there. The Russians have a heavy presence there.
Oh yeah, the Montagov family is Russian. I probably should have said that. Juliet's family is
they're Chinese.
Chinese, and the Montagovs, the other rival gang, they are all Russian.
Yes. But it's just setting the scene of all of these people intermingling in the city. We are at the port. The monster emerges from the water.
Which I love Cthulhu. Listen, I don't know if it's because I'm a Cthulhu fan, but like I immediately went like kind of like H.P. Lovecraft with this.
I didn't really picture anything because the monster isn't really all that well described.
No, that's just what I thought. Like it had nothing to do with a description or anything. I just had like this in my mind's eye, because we actually talked about this the other day. Like, do you see a full video, or what do you see when you're reading? And I picture like the full play-by-play of what's happening. And in my mind's eye, I pictured a Cthulhu-like creature of some sort.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I'm just saying I didn't explicitly picture any one thing. But we're zoning in on a port on the river. These men are working a boat. The monster is emerging from the water. And these little black specks kind of emerge with the monster. The man falls to the ground, slams down really hard. The world is raining down on him in dots, strange things he can't quite see. He can only feel pinpricks of things landing on him. It's itching his arms, his legs, and particularly his neck. He hears the other men around him screaming in horror. They're shrieking in Russian and in English, "Get off me, get them off me, get them off me now."
Because there's a policeman that comes in on this too, so it's like
a policeman hears all the shouting, all the men running in different directions. He's trying to figure out what's going on. The policeman eventually sees the horror in front of him, and he just bolts. He's like, "I'm out of here." He gets himself free of the debris that rained down on him. He's hiccuping from trying to take deep breaths from all the running that he's done. And only then does he look back to see what was there. I'll do the last little paragraph here. And he is long gone by the time there are only dead men lying along the ports of Shanghai, their throats torn out, and their eyes staring up at the night sky, glassy with the reflection of the moon.
Oh, that's not the policeman.
Oh, it's not?
No, the policeman actually is one of them screaming, "Get it off, get it off, get it off."
Oh, okay.
Because the policeman is there because they're rival gangs, and he's like, "Listen, I'm not going to do this, boys. Move it along." And that's when the attack happens.
And then we go to chapter 1. It's September 1926. We do get different points of view. We do get different points of view in this book. Mm-hmm. The main ones are Juliet Kai, Rome. Was it Psy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Juliet Psy, and the Psys belong to the Scarlet Gang. We have Roma Montagov, who belongs to the White Flower Russian Gang. Mm-hmm. Then we also get points of view of Rosalind and Kathleen, who are Juliet's cousins. And then we have Marshall and Benedict, which Benedict is spelled super weird. It always threw me off every time I looked at it. They are friends of Roma's.
It makes sense, though, in the world of them being Russian.
Yeah. It was just weird seeing it because Benedict is typically a English name. Seeing it spelled that way, I was like, ugh. Jump scare. But in chapter 1, it's Juliet's point of view. She is at a burlesque club where her cousin Rosalind dances, and the twin sister Kathleen waits tables.
It basically belongs to the Scarlet Gang. Like, it's in their territory. Like, it's their club.
Yes, the city is also broken up into gang territories. There's the Scarlet Territory and the White Flower Territory. Obviously, the gangs do not cross into each other's territory unless they have like specific orders to do so. The book is also very political in that way. Mm-hmm. So they belong to the Scarlet Gang. She has been gone for 4 years. She was previously in New York City, which you learn later on. She was kind of shipped out / left of her own accord. The story is told in bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. And she is talking to a Mr. Dexter about a new, quote, product that Mr. Dexter wants to sell to the Scarlet Gang. But they are interrupted when Roma Montagov walks into the bar. He's the heir to the White Flowers gang. You get the sense that there is a lot of personal history there. It's not all spelled out immediately.
I mean, you get the vibe that, like, clearly there was some sort of interest, but it's not spelled out plainly.
Yeah. But he says he has come to talk. 7 bodies were found with self-inflicted neck wounds, 5 white flowers, 1 scarlet, and 1 municipal British officer.
Yeah, see.
She dismisses him, refusing to work with a rival gang. But their conversation is interrupted by a man thrashing on the floor, tearing out his own throat. And that's just chapter 1.
And this was gross. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Like,
yes,
I audibly gagged when I read that.
Yeah, she's very descriptive.
Yes, she is. There's several times in this book that I was like, bleh.
And it's supposed to be YA. I was like, this is pretty graphic for it to be a YA novel.
Is it YA? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, they're 18, so it wouldn't, I mean, like.
It's classified as YA.
I don't know. I think Miranda's going to throw this in that thing that they call new adult.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm just saying I'm classified as YA.
Okay. Whoever be doing classifications, you need some help, bro.
All of Chloe, is this your first Chloe Gong book?
Yeah.
Okay. All of her books are classified YA.
Interesting.
So, chapter 2. Juliet has Roma escorted out of the burlesque club despite his protests. He is urging her to look at the man's shoes. He has noticed something about the shoes, and she's just kind of like, I'm not looking at this man's shoes. I want him out of this club. Something is going on here. Once he's gone, the dying man saying a few last words. One of them was the word monster in Chinese. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of Chinese in this book as well. Like, it's not written in Chinese characters, but it's spelled out in English. I had some of the phrases weren't even translated for me. I had to look them up, and I was like, okay, I'm learning Chinese, I guess. Kathleen covers the man with a tablecloth, and Juliet does notice that the shoes are mismatched. One is in pristine condition and shining, while the other looks to be a size too small and very, very tattered. And then there's like a page break, and we get Alyssa Montagov, who is Roma's sister. She is eavesdropping on her father's meetings with Chinese spies. Mm-hmm. They want to uncover this, quote, madness of the men ripping out their own throats. One suggests seeing a monster in the Hongpu River, and her father immediately dismisses the men. But he doesn't do it out of scoffiness or, like, dismissive. You can tell he's just afraid to deal with the issue. Mm-hmm. Chapter 3, Juliet goes to see her father in his office, and he has a visitor. The visitor is a nationalist or a Kuomintang. There's a lot of political discussion going on. It's more for our benefit. Juliet is, in her point of view, going through stuff that has happened in Shanghai. And she basically just sits there while they talk. And then she and her dad meet up with the rest of the family in the dining room. She has a cousin named Tyler, who is very aggressive. I don't remember the character in the Romeo and Juliet play that he is. His name might be Tyler in the play. I don't know.
No, I don't think there's a Tyler in Romeo and Juliet.
But he's just a very aggressive character. He wants the Scarlet Gang to be like the only gang in Shanghai. He wants to wipe out all the white flowers. And that's just his point of view. And he has decided to start a turf war with the Montagovs, and he's outlining his plans in front of the entire family. Juliet wants nothing to do with this. She doesn't want bloodshed, basically. She just wants the status quo to be maintained. So she leaves the room, and Tyler notices she leaves the room, especially since she's the one who's going to be the head of the Scarlet Gang one day, not Tyler.
It's supposed to be Tybalt.
Tybalt, yes.
Yeah, it's Tybalt.
Thank you.
I was like, I'll get it in a minute.
So he follows her out of the room and basically challenges her and is like, you don't have what it takes to lead this gang. You should like throw away your namesake, basically let me lead.
I want to bring up something real quick. Two things really quick. One, in regards to Tyler. And that is, Chloe Gong makes it a point to tell you how similar alike that Tyler and Juliet look. Yes. Like, they look more like siblings than they do cousins. And you find out much later, which we're spoiling this book, so I can go ahead and say that. You can find out later that his parents died at a very young age. So he kind of like lived with the Sais, like his aunt and uncle and Juliet. So, and I know, like, I read a bunch of different, like, you know, people that do book breakdowns and stuff, and they said that this is supposed to like add to the fact that they're in competition with one another. Like, oh, they look so much alike, they have to compete in like all senses and, you know, of the things, like, you know, their power dynamics. And the problem I have with this is, and they've never said this, but why would you stress how much alike they look? And then his parents died, if that's not going to come back. Because there is a book two. There is a book two, right? So, thought, could he actually be her sibling? Like, I mean, maybe
it's possible.
Like, maybe her dad had an affair with the sister, with his mom, or maybe they couldn't have children, so they were like, here, you can have one of ours, or maybe he just had an affair in general, and his parents dying weren't his real parents to begin with. Do you see what I'm like?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm like, why else would you stress how much alike they look if that's not supposed to come into play at some point?
That's a good point.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out, I meant to stop you and do it earlier, but if you read the book and you see that Lady Montagov's name, Alyssa, and the mother is spelled different, it's because Chloe Gong actually followed the tradition of Eastern Europe, where, so Roma's name is Montagov. Whoever he marries would be Montagova. That A at the end?
Yeah.
It's the ownership of.
Okay.
So I would be Bertholdova. It's more, you see it more so in like Russia, Czech, Slovak, I think maybe even in the Ukraine. It's not like European wide. It's not like all of them, but it's, when you take your husband's last name, you don't take it just like we do in America, where like, I'm just a Berthold. It would be changed. The ova is to show ownership of, like, you belong to this family.
Okay.
Even the daughters born into, like Alyssa, she's a Montagova.
Okay.
So I figured somebody would be like, what? Is this a... Because it's repetitive throughout the book. So just in case anybody is reading and was like, that didn't make sense, that is why. It's legit.
Okay, so Tyler follows her out of the room. He calls her out for not going along with his plans, and then he pins her against the wall. She's the heir. She should be doing this and not covering up for Roma from the supposed rumors from before she left that they had been together. It was a secret that was not so secret, and they kind of got found out, which you'll hear more about later.
Mm-hmm.
In order to shut Tyler up, Juliet punches him with a ring on her finger, cutting his face open, and then proceeds to whip out a knife and dig into the cut that she made. She will make sure that he won't question her loyalties again.
Yeah, she doesn't play. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. Like, the woman at all times has multiple, like, weapons on her.
She's always strapped.
She is always. Like, what? Try to remind me when she has to go to the ball with her dad.
Yeah.
I was dying.
Chapter 4 is Roma's point of view. He is meeting up with two. Okay, they are cousins. They are his cousins, Benedict and Marshall. They are at the original crime scene, and they notice that there is a ton of insects everywhere. Benedict takes some. He wants to study them, basically. They all three end up in the river under the boardwalk to listen to some Scarlets talk about their conquests of the night. And while they are under this boardwalk bridge type thing, Roma sees a shoe floating in the water, and he notices that it's the mate of the nice one that the man from the burlesque club had been wearing. Marshall then asks if anybody else sees what he sees in the river. They basically all get the heebie-jeebies and get out of the river. Mm-hmm. They go to a lab owned by Mr. Lawrence. It's basically an opium lab.
Yeah, it's a drug factory.
Yeah, it's fronting as a pharmaceutical lab for the hospitals in the Montagov territory, but yeah, it's a drug lab.
Which in 1926, opium was a huge deal. It was a huge thing. That was There were opium dens everywhere. And it was kind of like you hear now, modern day, like America, where you hear about like heroin and meth being cut with something else. Like they even talk about it in here that like these scientists are all taking turns and they're mixing things with the opium to see who they can get, like what gets the best high and the longest high and the best money. And like they got a whole thing going.
And they show Mr. Lawrence these insects. And he's like, oh, that's weird. And he experiments with fire on them. He only takes one, and he gets a lighter, and he puts the lighter near the insect. And even though he's only doing it to the one bug, all of the bugs react. So they kind of have like this hive mind thing going on.
Yeah. I had very
Lawrence
Stranger
declares,
Things vibes there.
Yeah. Lawrence declares that these are not organic creatures from a capital C creator.
Mm-mm.
Chapter 5, Juliet is with Kathleen and Rosalind, and they're all three complaining about Tyler. He's just a nuisance. They all want him gone. Juliet also remembers how the Montagoffs had bombed their... I have a misspelling here in my notes.
Why? What did you do?
So in the story, Juliet is reminiscing about how the Montagoffs had bombed their house and killed her beloved nurse. In my notes, I typed horse. I was like, horse? That's not right.
Okay. I mean, sure.
They had found her nurse, basically like a nanny. They had found her nurse in the courtyard. She was all bloodied and obviously dead. And it had a note. There was a note on her that said, "My son sends his regards." She's interrupted from these musings by a visitor at the house, Paul Dexter, who is Mr. Dexter's son that she had been talking to at the burlesque club about the new, quote, product. He's come to offer the deal that was interrupted at the club with all the mayhem. Juliet promptly turns him down and escorts him out. On the way out the door, he's like, okay, I accept that we can't do a business deal, but can I see you again personally? And she said, absolutely not. Hello, Juliet. She's like short and to the point.
Oh, absolutely. Like, she didn't hold back. I like this girl.
Where is it? I wanted to get the exact quote. I think she does say absolutely not. Yeah, she does. He was like, may I make a request, Miss Sy? She said, I already told you. And Paul smiled. Can I see you again? Juliet slammed the door shut. Absolutely not.
Also in this chapter, she and Rosalind, when they're still talking, she goes, there it is again. What? The murder face, Kathleen supplied without looking up from her magazine. Juliet rolled her eyes. I think this is just simply my resting expression.
Hello, Juliet. I love this Juliet. Let me rephrase that. I like this Juliet. Chapter 6. We learn that the Scarlet Gang had killed Roma's mother while she was in a safe house that no one was supposed to know about. This is from Roma's point of view.
Yeah.
And they, like, that had come after they had killed or bombed the Scarlet's house. So they were basically having battles back and forth.
Tit for tat.
Yep. Roma also shows his dad the shoe, attempting to get him to understand that this could possibly be a contagion. Lord Montagoff is hesitant to believe anything. He tells...
Come on, Lord Montagoff is an ass.
He is, very much so.
I'll say it.
He pisses me off in a couple of chapters that we'll get to.
Yeah. Oh, he's already pissed me off at this point. Because, like, the way he just speaks to him is just... Ugh.
It's very demeaning.
Yeah.
He tells Roma to gain more information from the one survivor, but that one survivor is at a hospital in Scarlet territory. So he has to find a way to get in over there. Chapter 7. Juliet is hearing rumors on the streets about a monster in Shanghai. And she's kind of ruminating over these rumors as she is making her way. I forget where she was going at this point. It's not really that important. Anyways, she heads into an alley to adjust her shoe so she's not in a crowd when she feels the cold metal of a gun against her back. Roma is holding her up, He's come to talk. They have a little bit of back and forth, and he explains that he needs help and what is going on. Without answering, she walks away, telling him to follow. And he's just like, wait, what? Okay, you're going to help me? Cool, let's go.
Oh, that was, I forgot, like, in that last chapter where his dad is, like, being such a flippant asshole, and it's like, you can figure this out. That's when we learned they really were lovers, because he said, it's not so absurd an idea. Surely you can ask for one favor. She was your lover once, after all. So that's when in chapter 6 is when they were finally like, yep, they were a thing.
Well, it's still even being hinted at.
Yeah. But this time the dad just flat out says it. Like, she was your lover. Like, come on.
But he also doesn't want to be accused of, like, choosing sides. Roma doesn't want to be accused of choosing sides. So both Roma and Juliet are trying to prove to both of their separate gangs that, like family loyalty.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Juliet is starting to take him seriously now. She takes him to the hospital in the Scarlet territory, and they go down to the morgue. I guess because there was a survivor, but I guess they find out that the survivor had actually died.
Well, she walks straight into the hospital, and the guy's like, oh, Miss Juliet, what can I do for you? And she, like, leans over and says, what you can do is hush. And she grabs the morgue key card. They go with the... because he tells him, like, you gotta prove that this shoe, like, you're throwing a shoe at me, but you don't have any proof. So he sets out to go see the dead guy.
Well, see, he didn't know that the guy was dead, because when he left the club, the guy was still alive.
Oh, okay.
That's why, because we're seeing it from his point of view, and he was like, oh, we're going to the morgue. He must have died.
Yeah, in my head, I thought, I don't know why, but I was like, because we know as the reader he's dead, so I kind of apparently glossed over the fact that he didn't think he was dead. But she knows he's dead too, because she kicked Roma out. So that's another Juliet moment I love, where she just kind of tells that she leans over and is like, what you can do for me is hush.
Yes.
And she just takes the morgue key.
Well, because everyone knows who Juliet is. Like, she's the heir to everything.
Everybody knows, so who
she's
both
gonna
of
get
them
her
are.
way.
Yeah.
So they go down to the morgue. Roma confirms that the shoes do match. Just as they are going to leave the hospital, absolute mayhem and chaos breaks out. At least 30 Scarlets are being wheeled in on gurneys with blood gushing from open wounds on their necks.
And listen, when they describe, like, the people tearing at their necks in, like, chapter 2, it is
gross.
Like, I watch horror movies. I watch horror films, and I was like...
Chapter 9, Benedict and Marshall have found more dead bodies and more insects. Benedict makes the connections that the bugs have to be doing something.
Right?
Yeah, it's logical. At Marshall's behest, Benedict, he makes, like, a small cut on the scalp of one of the victims.
Oh, this is so disgusting.
And he finds a horde of insects in this person's head.
Oh,
just
Chloe
like
Gong, the way you describe this.
Around.
Ma'am, you are a fantastic writer, but please just... What?
Chapter 10, Juliet, Rosalind, and Kathleen go visit a madam with a capital M who owes them some rent money. Or, like, owes the Scarlet Gang rent money, I should say.
Basically, she owns a brothel. She runs the brothel, and she need to pay up.
Yeah. Juliet tells her that she can keep the money in exchange for information about the communists that are starting to infiltrate Shanghai. Madam at first says that she doesn't know anything. She just knows that these people are staying with her, but she tends to stay out of their personal business. She's just there to make money off of them. But Juliet's like, nah, you know more than you're saying, and chokes her. And
with
then
a garrote. Like, she's like gonna, like, slice her head off, choke her.
Yeah. Like, she even, like, puts a little bit of pressure on her neck, and her neck starts to bleed a little bit.
Yeah, and she's like, if I did it just a little bit harder, it would be where when she heals, she'd still have a scar. I was like, damn.
And that's when Madam starts to spill the beans a little bit. It turns out that the Secretary General of the Communists, Mr. Zhang Guotai, he's basically planning everything right under their noses.
Mm-hmm.
When they get back to the house, they walk in on the cook and the maid, both bleeding out in the kitchen, throats sliced open. Juliet's suspicions are confirmed. It is a contagion. What did you just pick up?
Oh, sorry. My finger touched my cup.
It legit sounded like you dragged a knife on the table and picked it up. I was like, oh, we're getting into character now.
What?
Okay.
No, it's I have I hope that doesn't sound horrible. Yeah, it's just like a Stanley type cup, and when I touched it, my finger grazed it just perfectly.
It legit sounded like you picked up a knife.
I'm getting into it. Zhang Guotai is
I was like, Miranda brought props.
Hell yeah. I'm Juliet in this shit.
Chapter 11. Juliet has the bodies wrapped up in tablecloths and loaded into the trunk of a car to be sent to the hospital morgue. Lord Sai summons Juliet to learn more about what happened. And I wanted to be like, dude, it's your house. You were here. What do you mean what happened?
She's like, are you kidding me? With all the screaming that was taking place and me yelling for help, and you're just now, she even is like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. But he is also encouraging her to attend a masquerade ball with him. They have been invited by the French, but it is hosted by all of the different groups that are in Shanghai in order to celebrate the city. She is very hesitant. She's like, I do not want to go to a stupid ball while we have this contagion going on in the city. And he's like, but it'll look good politically. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's a joint venture between the different foreign powers, her father replied softly. The French, British, Americans, and everyone else. They wish to come together and celebrate the native powers of Shanghai.
Yeah. And then we have a page break again. Marshall and Benedict tell Roma what they found. And Lord Montagov sends Roma on a mission to find more info about the communists. So everyone's trying to hunt down these communists.
Everybody thinks it's a communist at this point. They're like, it's not some sort of bug. It's not a monster. It's not a contagion. It's a communist.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I mean, they did do a lot wrong, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that's true.
I see.
So chapter 12 is actually an outlier. It is the point of view of just some random... Well, we think it's a random person. We don't really know who it is until later.
It threw me off, though, reading it. I was like, wait,
same. Because we figure out who it is in a couple of chapters. But so chapter 12 is the point of view of a dancer leaving the club going home for the night when something spooks her in the river. Mm-hmm. She runs unknowingly into white flower territory, but she has a red streak in her hair that basically signals allegiance to Scarlet's. Yeah. A sailor sees her and draws his pistol, and she's trying to reason with him, being like, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm running for my life. Something scary is going on.
She's like, listen, I'm so sorry. I stepped into the territory. I didn't want to bring it up earlier, but as Bianca said, there's the two territories, and it's very blatant line. And she was just so distraught that her and her little red ribbon ran right into the white area.
Yeah. So then she starts to run both from him and the monster. She hides in an alley while a bunch of screaming occurs on the river. She's basically hiding under a tarp in an alley, kind of, sort of. Mm-hmm. And she emerges to find the 7 men aboard the ship dead. And there are millions of insects crawling on the ground.
Ew.
Disgusting. I do not want to be in 1920 Shanghai in this world.
No.
Chapter 13. Juliet is going to a newspaper called the Labor Daily, and that is where Zhang Guotai is the chief editor. And like I said, he's also the Secretary General of the Communist Movement in Shanghai.
I love how they bring up, so she dresses American a lot. That's her style, right? That's how she feels comfortable. And they make it known when she's dressing more traditional Chinese in her kippah. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Please don't come for me. I think it's kippah. And this is one of those moments. So she's in discomfort trying to go take care of this thing.
Yes.
At the labor daily.
And in true Juliet fashion, she marches right past the front desk like she works there, and they just let her. She finds a desk with various drawings on it depicting a monster. And she's like briefly looking over everything. And she keeps making her way through the office when a man asks her what she's doing there. She says that her father, Lord Sai, has sent her on official Scarlet business. He gestures for her to follow him. And he walks her into a room where, ta-da, Roma's already there.
Mm-hmm.
And they both say, "What are you doing here?" at the same time, kind of like the Spider-Man theme. Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
They literally say, "What are you doing here?" It says they demand in unison.
Yeah. She comes to the conclusion that he's there for the same reason she is, that Zhang is somehow involved in this madness. Zhang comes bebopping out of his office and he sees Roma first, but the meeting doesn't last very long and Roma comes out looking not very happy. Then it's Juliet's turn. Zhang basically refuses to talk to her and barely acknowledges her madness accusation. He tells her that he's a very busy man, doesn't have time for all of this. On the way out, she literally runs into Roma. She's just thrown off because nothing has gone her way that day, and she abruptly leaves. On the way home, she checks her pockets. She still has one of the monster drawings that she had taken from the desk, but Roma had slipped his hand in and had taken her masquerade invitation, thinking that he had gotten something else. And then there's like a little update at the end of this chapter. The dancer from earlier was actually Rosalind. And Rosalind is telling Juliet and Kathleen about what had happened. Juliet then pulls out the drawing of the monster, and Rosalind confirms that that's what she saw down at the river. Chapter 14, we get Benedict's backstory. It's very sad, very depressing. His parents died when he was a child. You get the sense that he has like severe OCD.
Mm-hmm.
He's also struggling in various aspects of his personal life, and it's just all very sad. I was like, I could have done without this chapter. Like, I get that it's needed for character development, especially considering what happens at the end and what's probably going to play out in book 2. So, like, it's cool to know, but I was just like, this is just sad.
Oh, yeah.
So, chapter 15, Juliet and her father do go to the masquerade ball. Do you want to insert real quick everything that went into her getting ready for the ball?
Oh, my God. Let me see if I can find literally everything. My favorite part. So she really doesn't want to go to this thing, right? And all the rest of the family that was invited has already left. And she's like, well, you know what? My dad said I was supposed to go with him. So she's like using it to her advantage that she doesn't want to go and her dad's still in his office working on things. So she waits for Lord Sai. And he's like, ready to go? And she's like, ready as ever. She comes down the stairs and it says, Lord Sai descended the rest of the stairs, stopped in front of his daughter, his expression set in a frown. Juliet looked down at herself, trying to determine what had drawn his disapproval. She was wearing her American dress again, this one slightly fancier to fit the occasion, with bundles of tulle at her shoulders that fell into her sleeves. While the neckline was the neckline cut too low for once? Then they have this whole discussion about masks, like she doesn't want to wear one. And then he's like, well, I'm not wearing one because I'm a 50-year-old man. It would look ridiculous, which I was like, yes, you're right. So they're having this whole discussion about getting in the car, and he goes, that's not a necklace, is it? It's not, Baba. That's garrote wire, isn't it? Indeed, Baba. How many other weapons have you concealed on yourself? 5, Baba. Lord Sai pinched the bridge of his nose and muttered, what Maya? Which have mercy on my soul.
And then Juliet smiles like she had just been complimented.
God, I love. See, her dad. Also, I think he's so drastically different from Lord Montague. Lord Sai is Yeah, he's a little pushy, but you can tell he loves her. Because he's like, oh, have mercy on my soul, sweet child. What is wrong with you? Montagov would be like, this is not enough. Roma, why you no give me your whole life?
So, this was a very long chapter, so I'm just going to go through the highlights of this. She basically runs into Paul again at the dance. He's like trying to flirt with her, and she's just like, you are disgusting. Get away from me. And Roma is there, and he can visibly see like how done Juliet is with Paul. So Roma interrupts them, and she's both thankful about it, but annoyed that she had to be rescued by Roma in the first place. Mm-hmm. And they start dancing, and they start talking. Roma wants a deal. The Scarlets and the White Flowers working together. Juliet says never. Then all of a sudden, people start dropping like flies. Mm-hmm. Roma and Juliet, they go like, I think they go hide under a table or something.
Something like that. They had somewhere.
Yeah. It was all very chaotic.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all of this, she looks at Roma and says, okay, one meeting. Mm-hmm. Chapter 16, Juliet speaks to basically, like, she gathers the family to talk about the crisis that's happening. They argue about how to handle it, whether it's worth it to set aside the feud in favor of helping their city, Shanghai, in order to keep the foreigners at bay. They basically want to stop the colonization of their beloved city. And then a bit of a page break. Alyssa comes back. She knows the city inside and out. She's a smaller girl, and she can fit in these tiny places that not everyone else can fit.
Well, and I don't think she's as recognizable from what I'm understanding. It's like, yes, everyone can look at Roma and they're like, oh, shit, we got to behave. Or they can look at Juliet and they're like, oh, shit, we're just going to let that slide. I don't think Alyssa is...
She doesn't have that presence.
No, and I think she likes it that way because she
can be ignored and do what she wants to.
Yeah, she doesn't get the same, and I don't think it's that they don't know that she's a Montagov. I just think her look, for whatever reason, they don't realize she is. So they're like, oh, whatever, she's just another,
But since she's so small, she can basically go anywhere she wants, and she basically has the city, like, mapped out in her head perfectly. Like, I always, whenever they described Alyssa, I was just picturing those scenes in Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and how his brain operated.
Yes.
That's what I saw for Alyssa. And she uses this to her advantage to eavesdrop on anybody and everybody. She gets all the tea. Down a random alley, she finds a white flower lying in his own blood with his throat ripped open. She yells for help, and then she basically takes off running. She doesn't want to be caught at the scene. She takes a rickshaw to a bad part of town to meet someone that Roma had told her to meet. And she recognizes instantly the person that she's meeting up with, Juliet. So this is where they are holding the meeting, at an abandoned old warehouse. Alyssa walks in. To one side of the room, Lord Sy and the Scarlets. On the other side of the room, Lord Montagov and the White Flowers. And they are all just staring silently at each other. Juliet finally comes in, and Kathleen hands her a piece of paper. It has Zhang's personal address on it, and Juliet pockets that for later. That will be very important. So Lord Montagov speaks first. Both gangs should share any knowledge they have. But this tips the hand that they don't have any knowledge. They are solely relying on the Scarlet's knowledge. And Lord Sy is like, no, we're not doing that. Things get real tense, and there's like silence everywhere. Everyone's just kind of on edge, waiting for anyone to make a wrong move. Until a choking noise comes from the back of the warehouse. Alyssa drops to her knees, and her fingers go to her throat.
Which I was like, no!
Yeah. I was like, this is not how you end a chapter. Chapter 17. Roma immediately sees what's happening and pins her hands to the ground, and he shouts for help. Every one of the Scarlets turns to leave. They're like, oh, crap, no, we're getting out of here. Marshall and Benedict reason with Roma that they need to take Alyssa to Dr. Lawrence. Roma reluctantly agrees. Marshall basically chokes Alyssa just enough to make her pass out so that she won't keep clawing at her neck. Roma takes her to the nearest hospital, and the doctors and nurses lock him out of the room, and he's like raging. The rest of the family shows up. Roma goes off on them for not reacting to their daughter dying, like he's confronting both his dad and all the other family members, being like, how can you not care that she dropped and was going to claw her throat open? And then there's a lot of screaming in the hospital. Roma breaks back into that room, and the doctor says that they're basically going to have to keep her comatose until they can find a cure. So she's basically just put to sleep.
Yeah, like if you're sedated, then you can't do anything. Sedated and strapped down. Like, you can't claw your own throat out then, which is what everyone has done thus far. They're all clawing their throats out.
Chapter 18. Roma finds his friends later that night at a underground fighting match type thing. So he's talking with Marshall and Benedict. He had spoken with his father, and his father believes that the madness will eventually just go away on its own, and that Alyssa will just wake up cured one day and everything will be hunky-dory. That is when I got mad.
Oh, I've been mad, but he's stupid.
I was like, how can you be so callous about your own child?
Well, he's already shown us that he's so callous about the guy that's supposed to be his heir, who is his child. Like, he's super callous with him. So, like, I'm not surprised. And especially when he talks about, you know, their mother died when Alyssa was, didn't they say like 8? And like, she doesn't really know what happened. Like, they've lied to her this whole time. Yeah. So to me, it sounds like Lord Montague doesn't even really have a relationship with Alyssa. It's like she lives in another wing of this house and whatever.
Which Marshall and Benedict, they both say, nah, he's crazy. Yeah. They talk about a vaccine, that there's been rumors of a vaccine going on through the city. Like, this has all happened over the course of a couple of weeks. So it's basically, like, I don't want to say becoming old news in Shanghai, but people are starting to just realize that something is happening.
It's so like the panini.
It's like when more and more people are dropping dead, like, it's kind of a shock, but people are like, oh, okay, it's the throat thing again.
Yeah.
So there's talk of a vaccine out on the street, but no one really knows if it's real or not. And the man fighting in the ring while, like, the conversation is happening, his name is Dimitri, and he's the reigning champion. He and the man that had stepped into the ring, they both said political stuff to each other, basically, and he pulls a gun on his opponent, which you're not supposed to do.
Because I think the other guy in the ring was an American.
Yeah. Roma is like, no, we're not pulling guns here. Like, this is a fighting match.
It's supposed to be like it's like one of the spaces where, like, no, like, everybody can come here, is my understanding.
Yeah. So Roma intervenes and is like, you, American, get out of here. And he's, like, starting to walk away. But then Dimitri shoots the other man anyway. Roma says, fine, then you're going to fight me. It's a little bit of a struggle at first just because Roma hasn't, like, fought anyone like that in a while. But eventually Roma wins the fight. And he goes back to his friends, and they basically all realize that Roma has to ask Juliet for help in order to save Alyssa. Like, there's no other way around it. Chapter 19, Juliet was in her bedroom contemplating some stuff when she heard knocking on her window. Roma had gotten into their house and had climbed the house and was knocking on her window.
Well, listen, if you're going to retell Romeo and Juliet, you have to have the window scene, right?
Yeah.
It's a retaking on the window scene. And I will say, I know it's a little cheesy, but I do like how she goes, what, you couldn't just, like, throw rocks at my window or something? Which is what happens in the original Romeo and Juliet. And yes. I chuckled at that. I know some people are probably like, ugh. But I was like, listen, it's a retelling. You have to somewhere have that in there.
Yes. But Roma has come begging for help for his sister. Mm-hmm. After a little bit of back and forth, Juliet eventually says, for Alyssa and for all the little girls in this city falling victim to a game they never asked to play, I will help you.
Yeah, I highlighted that. I loved that quote. I may have to add it to our series I've been doing on TikTok.
Yeah.
Book quotes with no context. Boys and girls, I'm having a lot of fun.
She tells him that they will leave at dawn to head to Zhang's house, since she has his personal address.
I don't think it's Zhang, by the way.
What is it?
I think it's... Oh, crap.
I was like, I'm just saying it how it's spelled, and right, I know that's probably not right, but...
Listen, I need... Like, if we're going to be taught how to say things phonetically, I'm going to need, like, some people to get on board and...
It's spelled Zhang, so I'm just saying Zhang.
Let me see.
Zangutai.
I think it's Zhang.
Okay, I can see that.
I want to say Zhang.
But they have to keep this, I'll call it a dalliance, a secret. Otherwise, they are both dead. Because they've been caught before. And if they're caught again, their families are not going to be so forgiving this time.
Well, nobody's going to understand because they're not. Right now, they're in an alliance to, like, because both their houses are losing so many people that maybe they're not like big characters, but both sides of this have lost tons of people due to whatever this is. And they can't just go, hey, we're gonna be in an alliance here and we're gonna solve this, because people are gonna just think, oh no, you just want to be together, and that's actually not what they're doing at all right now.
Yeah, no. So chapter 20, we're halfway through the book. Chapter 20, Roma and Juliet meet the next morning and they make their way to some rundown houses. Juliet explains that if he, Zhang, or however you pronounce his name, I'm going to keep saying Zhang. Juliet explains that if Zhang is really a top-tier guy in the Communist Party, he would suffer with everyone else for equality, because that's how they work. So even if he had like a really high-paying job, if he truly believed in the communist cause, he was going to live in somewhere that was not great in order to equate himself with everyone else.
Because that's what they would do. They would want... Inside the Communist Party, it's like, no, but we are all the same look. Even if they're not. Yeah.
And there on the doorstep to the house was a collection of insects.
Ugh.
So
I'm trying to decide how big these are. Like, genuine question. Because they're described a couple of different times.
I was thinking like the size, like what you would know what I'm saying. The size of a cockroach down here.
Girl,
that's what I assume.
That could be like really damn big. That's why I was asking. Like... Down there, whoo, if you guys don't know,
we have monster cockroaches in the South.
I love, like, when I first moved down there, I'd never seen them so big. And I'd also never seen them when it was not in, like, a dirty situation. Like, in Kentucky, they don't just appear, right? And in Alabama and Florida, northern Florida and all that, they're like, you're not a dirty person. It could come in from a box. If they're in the trees, they're just there. And they're huge. And I remember being terrified because one was in the house and it like freaked me out. It was this whole ordeal. And I was telling our neighbor, oh girl, you ain't got nothing to worry about. It's just them palmetto bugs. And I was like, that was a cockroach. You can call it whatever you want. That was a cockroach. I am now buying all the Raid possible. But
that's what I pictured.
That's what you pictured? Okay. I was thinking smaller. That's why I was getting confused, because I was thinking, I don't know. I'm over here. You can't see me, but I'm over here with my hand making like, I don't know. I genuinely wanted to know how big you thought they were, though, because I'm confused on how big I think they are, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I pictured. I didn't picture a monster, but I had these bugs figured out.
See, that works for me, though, because I genuinely don't know. On this one, I don't know.
But it's kind of like a boarding house where each room is like its own apartment, kind of, sort of. That's the best way I know how to describe it. So they make their way to the correct apartment, and an older man answers the door. Juliet, for her cover story, she explains that they are university students and they want an interview with Mr. Zhang. The older man says that he is Mr. Zhang's assistant and invites them in.
Did you Juliet go?
Juliet gives fake names, and I love this little Easter egg. For Roma, his last name was Montague.
I like that.
And you can see Roma scoffing at giving him an Italian last name. He's like, what? But anyways, Romeo's real last name in the Romeo and Juliet play is Montague, so that was a cute little nod to Shakespeare. Juliet asks where the bathroom is, and he's like, oh, it's down the hall. And instead of going to the bathroom, she enters a locked room that is full of communist paraphernalia, basically. She's surveying anything, and she finds an envelope with a lark spur on it. And this has always been the rumored cure to the madness that is going on. So she now knows that Zhang knows something. There's just more clues in here.
I don't know. I got vibes from him like immediately when they answered the door that I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this guy can be trusted. I don't know why I felt that way, but I did immediately was like, no, you're not an assistant.
Oh, I did the same thing.
Oh, I knew he would. I'd be like,
because it's I hate to be ageist here, but assistants typically aren't old men.
No.
I was like, no, you're not. You're not an assistant.
And then I think he like took a break when he was like, oh, no, I'm his assistant. And I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah. So they leave, and Juliet gives Roma the envelope that has the larkspur on it. They go to part ways and whatever, but Roma convinces her that they aren't done. They agree to meet tomorrow to hunt the larkspur.
Who, in this sense, is a person?
Yeah, it's still kind of ambiguous at this point what exactly the larkspur is.
For real, a larkspur is a very beautiful plant.
Yes. But from the paraphernalia that she'd found, it's alluding to a person. So
it says we hunt the larkspur.
So chapter 21, it's Kathleen's point of view, and she is attending a communist, for lack of a better word, party.
Yeah.
And
like
she
a gathering.
Accidentally runs into Marshall, who is also there to gain more information. He knows who she is, she knows who he is, and they're both kind of awkward about it, and they're like, okay, bye. She wants to go interview some people, and she's also going to pose as a university student. She asks a group of men about Zhang being a capable leader and how he's doing in his role within the Communist Party, and they all laugh at her. They say that he is not powerful, only that he has a monster doing his bidding. And she just kind of looks and was like, can you give me more information about that? What do you mean he has a monster?
Further that,
And just at that moment, the meeting is interrupted by the police. They've come to break up everything. Marshall is basically like friendly with the police, and he and Kathleen are able to get away, not getting arrested and just walking out of there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I marked a quote in this chapter in regards to one of the Communist Party people said to her. Okay. I thought it was really interesting. He says, power is something achievable by few. A shrug. Anyone can be master to a monster should their heart be wicked enough. And I was like, ooh.
That's a good quote.
I like that.
Chapter 22. Juliet is walking down the street the next day to go meet Roma, but she is being followed by a British man. She walks up to Roma, and Roma is like, whoa, hold up. You've got a man following you. And Juliet's like, no, I don't. I would know if I have a man following me. And so she kind of inconspicuously turns around and looks around her, and she's like, dang it, I am being followed. And not just by one guy, but by 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Roma insists that Juliet hug him really tight, and she can feel as she's embracing him, she has a coat on. She can feel that he's pulling his gun underneath the coat in order to shoot at the man. So she shoots him, or Roma shoots the man, and they notice that the other 3 men are like, oh crap, taking shots. And so everyone just starts running. They run and lose the one, and then they go into a building, I think it's an old theater, and the men follow them into a theater. Roma knocks one out cold and Juliet kills the other. It's all very action-packed. Yeah. I'm skimming over a lot. Like we said, this book is over 400 pages, so I'm just trying to be succinct with this.
Well, there's some things that unless it comes up, like it ends up being like a red herring, I think it's filler. It's good filler, right?
Yeah.
But there are some things that you're passing over that, like, it's completely fine that you're passing over. It has, from what I can tell, only reading book 1, it has no real bearing on the story overall.
Yeah. Chapter 23. Roma and Juliet basically work out where the Larkspur is, so they break into that building. And they find a room. There's like a room of people, and they're just kind of like dilly-dallying around, and you can tell they're working on something, but it's not really clear what they're working on. And there's also lots of vials everywhere. And Juliet asks them what's in the vials, and she doesn't get an answer. Roma grabs some of these vials, and then they leave. It was kind of weird. I was like, okay, that was odd. And then we have a page break. Marshall and Benedict find a woman who has the madness, and before she can hurt herself, they knock her out, basically kidnapping her and taking her to Dr. Lauren so that they can study her.
And they have turmoil with this, because one of them is like, we have to, because I think it's been a side discussion, but like they were saying like, well, you know, we have to study this somehow. They're trying to figure it out. And one of them's like, well, I'm just going to knock her out. And the other one's like, I can't do this. And then I think she's a nationalist. So I think she's supposed to be like they're like, oh crap, we can't just take, because of who she is, we can't just take her. And they're like, but we need to study. It's kind of like a whole chapter of the turmoil of, do we take her or not?
Yeah. So Roma and Juliet get to Lauren's lab at almost the same time that Marshall and Benedict get there. Lawrence basically ends up having to kill the girl. He doesn't feel safe studying her. That's what it comes down to. Because what he was trying to do, he almost got infected in the process, like a bug had landed on him and everyone freaked out. So they end up having to kill the girl anyways before she can claw her own throat out. Chapter 25, they all take a tour of the rest of the lab, and Lawrence is showing off everything that he's been working on. And there's one particular one that's pointed out. It's a vial of sorts, and it gives a person the illusion of death for 3 hours, and they wake as if nothing had happened. It basically stops a person's heart. Like a heartbeat can't be detected. While everyone else is shuffling out of that room and going back to the main part of the lab, Juliet stuffs that jar up her sleeve. Marshall sees her, but he doesn't say anything. That comes into play later. Mm-hmm. Lawrence declares that the vial that Roma had brought can't be declared a vaccine yet, but its primary ingredient is something called lernocrom. Juliet says that Walter Dexter was trying to sell that to the Scarlet Gang. So is Walter the supplier of this ingredient?
I knew Walter seemed fishy. Him and his boy.
Yeah. And they just gave me ick vibes anyway.
Oh, absolutely. This whole, like, because she talks about it when she meets Walter and how, like, she tries to ask him a question and he, like, circumvents it all the time. And Paul ends up doing it later. That doesn't, like, jump ahead. But, like, his son does the same thing. It's like, what is wrong with you two?
Yeah. Chapter 26, Juliet is out to dinner at a restaurant with her family and a few other gang members when her father basically stands up and announces that there's a spy in their midst and that they will be sorry when they find out who it is.
Which she immediately is like, oh, crap, could they have found out that I'm, like, working with this alliance, like, doing this alliance? Like, does he think it's me? But there's stuff said to indicate, like, it's not Juliet. Because it's, like, the information that was shared has nothing to do with, like, anything she shared.
But she still has basically, like, a panic attack. And she's like, excuse me, I'm going to go to the restroom. Mm-hmm. So she's in the restroom. And while she's in the bathroom, she hears a scream. So she's like, oh, something's going on. And she runs out of there. And when she comes back out, another patron of the restaurant had collapsed and clawed their throat. Page break. Marshall and Benedict are making their way home when they encounter a shadow. A monstrous shadow with horns. They run.
Completely changed my monster view at that point. I was like, I was thinking half man, half like minotaur thingy.
Yeah.
That's where I was at that one.
Okay. They hide under an alley They hide in an alley, basically like under a tarp until they hear a splash from the river. And like they're starting to like uncover themselves from the tarp, and then they see a stream of insects coming toward them, and then they clamp the tarp back down. Like they hold the tarp down with their feet and their hands because they know that the bugs are involved, so they don't want the bugs getting on them.
They're like, I don't want to touch them anymore.
Yeah. Chapter 27. So in order to get more information about Mr. Walter Dexter, Juliet decides to go on a date with Paul.
Oh my God.
The date is horrible. However, he does take her back to his house, although Walter is not home. So she's like basically giving him false hope that this is going somewhere.
That surprise, though.
Yeah. Paul shows her. Paul's like, hey, I have something to show you. And she's like, oh, really? And she's like feigning interest. Like we can tell as a reader that she absolutely does not want to be there, but she's just like, oh, what do you have to show me? He had 4 different paintings done depicting her.
Clearly he's like been in love with her from afar.
It is creepy.
It is creepy.
So I have creep typed out in big old letters in my notes.
Yeah, it says 2, each canvas was a painting of her. 2 is a study of her facial features, and the other 2 involving scenery, placing her in a garden or what might have been the world's loneliest tea party.
I cannot. If a man showed me paintings that he had done of me, and it was only our first date, I would be hightailing it out of there.
Right, so it's not even just that, right? Like, his dad, Walter, when in like chapter 1, 2, whatever it is, when he comes to the burlesque club to talk to her about this product, he's like, oh yes, because he keeps like trying to talk about her, and she's like, how does this guy know? Like, what is he talking about? And she's like, he's like, oh, you went to school with my son Paul before you left for 4 years for America. So she also has not seen Paul. And clearly they weren't like close friends because she like remembers the name, but she's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So it's like he's not even part of her friends group. She has not seen this man in 4 years. And then he's like, will you go on a date with me? And she's like, absolutely not. So then she goes on a fake date with him, and he's like, let me show you these paintings I made of you.
What?
What the?
So she's like analyzing them. And at one point, I don't have it written down or anything, but she's like, I think you got my nose wrong in this one.
Oh yeah, it's right here. She didn't even know what to say, perhaps except my nose isn't that high.
Oh my gosh. So after that awkward moment, Paul then attempts to take them to the garden, but Juliet wants to stay in the house because she like obviously wants to search the house. So she feigns swooning from the heat. She's like, oh, poor me, the heat. And Paul goes to fetch some help, basically. And she's like, oh, now's my chance. So she starts to snoop through the desk in the room that she's in. She doesn't really find anything. Mm-hmm. But she hears Paul coming back. So she gets back in her swoon position. Paul comes back with his briefcase, opens it, and he applies some tiger balm to Juliet's temples. She wants to send him out again so she can do some more searching. She's like, oh, I need some water. So he goes and leaves, go get some water. He had left his briefcase open, and she sees some paperwork in there. And she sees the name Archibald Welch, and she figures out that must be the middleman between Walter Dexter and the Larkspur.
Oh, she also makes note of the house when she goes back. Like, their house is way more ostentatious than it should be. Like, based on their place in society. She's like questioning this. She's like, wait a second, like this doesn't make sense. Like I know this family. Again, like they weren't like friends or anything, but I'm sure you know people's circles and stuff. And she's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. I'm very confused by this.
Chapter 28, Juliet and Roma meet up to discuss each of their findings. Hold on one moment. I need to cough. Archibald, they discuss Archibald Welch, and they figure out that he does deliveries on Thursdays. And what do you know? Today is Thursday. So they make a plan. Page break, Benedict and Marshall, they do a stakeout of Zhang's apartment, or at least the apartment they think is Zhang's. Mm-hmm. And they notice a series of claw marks on the building. That's like indication number one that they need to definitely have their guard up. So chapter 29, Roma and Juliet find Archibald Welch at, I think this stands for something, but it's like a bar speakeasy type place. It's called MNTUA.
I wasn't sure either.
It's a brothel / bar, and it's perfectly situated between the gang territories. Archibald agrees to answer questions for every shot they take. Juliet is like, okay, here we go. And it's straight tequila. It's slow going at first, but he admits to making deliveries to a tea house where he believes the larkspur makes the vaccine. He also describes watching the larkspur work. He makes 2 vaccines, one of saline solution and one that is a true vaccine. He works from a little leather book that he knows is made in Britain. They gather that he had the vaccine before the madness even started in Shanghai. Archibald is then like, okay, that's all I'm going to tell you tonight. Y'all have a good night. And he leaves the bar. Roma and Juliet are wasted.
Oh, yeah.
They've had several shots. Roma literally cannot stand up straight. He's literally falling down. Juliet is like seeing things in like triple and quadruple.
Well, because he won't answer their questions if they don't do shots.
Yeah. So
it's been a lot.
Pretty gone. But just as Archibald leaves the premises, the police are starting to swarm the place. Juliet and Roma basically head upstairs, and she takes over one of the rooms, and she basically makes it look like she's a worker at the brothel. Mm-hmm. The police come to the door, and she like situates herself like just so, and she pays the police off to not come in their room. They are both very drunk and very giggly. I'll say engage in like some play fighting. Like they're not gonna like kill each other or anything. They're just doing it to mess with each other, basically, kind of like foreplay.
Yeah.
And
there's
then
a movie that I was trying to think of where I think this kind of happens, where they're kind of sort of like fighting, but they're not. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then things get real serious, and they actually start kissing. Juliet stops it and is basically like, what are we doing here? What do you mean to me? What do I mean to you? Mm-hmm. And then she demands to know why Roma had broken them up by attacking her people. Roma says that he had no choice, and he doesn't explain anything at all. So Juliet just leaves.
Which I am taking that at that point as the reader, because of his butthole father. I was like, his father didn't give him an option. Basically, he told him, you will tell me, or.
Which, just to remind everyone, she had left because her house had been bombed, basically, by the White Flowers. She lost her nanny. It was
several people. Yeah.
So, chapter 30. The next morning, Juliet basically marches right up to Roma's house. Roma catches her, and she demands to know the whole truth. She wants to know exactly what happened. Roma says that it was a compromise. His father had told him to kill Juliet outright, and he could not do it. He had chosen Juliet over other innocent lives, and he wasn't sorry about it. And we get this from Juliet's point of view. So we get her inner turmoil working, and she's working through everything, and it was like, oh, he really does love me. Like, he still loves me. How am I going to handle this, basically? Chapter 31. One of Tyler's henchmen tells Tyler that he saw Juliet with Roma.
Of course.
Page break. Juliet and Roma go to the tea house, and they find the Larkspur. He's wearing a mask, and we can't see what he looks like or anything, but he certainly knows them. He knows their names, and he invites them in. After some back and forth, he reveals that Zhang is turning himself into the monster. He is making the vaccine off of information, or he as the Larkspur. Let me say this properly. The Larkspur is making the vaccine off information given to him by Zhang. Juliet and Roma leave with even more questions, and with the uprising and the revolt of the workers near the area of the hospital that Alyssa is in, they vow to kill Zhang today to end the madness and the communists all in one go. Because at the same time that the monster is taking over the city, there's also the communist uprising that's happening.
And nobody wants that.
Yeah. So they basically want to kill two birds with one stone. While they plot that, we have another side view. Tyler sees them, and he's muttering to himself, calling Juliet a traitor. Chapter 32. Juliet sends a note asking for help in killing Zhang to Kathleen and Rosalind. Rosalind refuses, and Kathleen is like, I'm going. You can't stop me. Because she and Rosalind basically have a little argument about, no, we don't need to get involved with Lord Sai's whatever he has going on, because we don't belong, we're not part of the family. We may belong to the gang, but we're not part of that family. And whatever's going on, we won't be forgiven like Juliet will be forgiven.
Which at the same time, I was like, but you are family. So that made me wonder how they get treated.
Yeah.
It seems like Juliet has taken, that's her besties, cousins and besties. But, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Chapter 33. Roma is, just like Juliet is summoning her friends, Roma is summoning his. He's summoning Marshall and Benedict. So there's going to be 5 people because Rosalind refuses to participate. Kathleen is going to create a distraction so that Roma and Juliet can get into Zhang's office on the 2nd floor. They basically bust up in there. Juliet shoots Zhang. I can't talk right now.
That's a mouthful, though. It's okay.
It is. It's all very quick. It was kind of anticlimactic, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, what? We are on page. We're in the 380s at this point. What?
Yeah, we still have almost 100 pages to go, and
but
I'm just thinking
we're pretty far in, and it's
yeah,
okay.
What else could happen? They go out the window and they meet up with the others on the ground. Kathleen runs up and was like, why didn't you kill Zhang? And Juliet's like, I just did. He's dead. She says, no, he's not.
This confused me. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know why, but I started getting very confused when they're like, no, you didn't. And she's like, yes, I did. I killed him. And they're like, no, you didn't. I was like, what? I'm not a stupid person, but just their conversation made me confused.
Yeah, no, I had to read it twice.
Okay. Because I was like, I get what you're saying, but the way you're having this discussion, I'm getting very confused right now.
Well, and like I said earlier, it was very fast paced. So they literally shoot him, jump out the window, meet with the others, and then Kathleen is like, why didn't you kill him? And we're like, we just did. He's got a bullet hole in his stomach. He's dead. So Kathleen is like, well, then it didn't work. And there's a whole crowd of people who have the madness. Just off, in the distance. You can see it happening. Juliet basically has a mental breakdown. She just, collapses. She feels like she just killed this man for nothing. She has a tenuous grip on what being a gang member basically is. She does not want to kill people, especially in cold blood like that. So that like really took a toll on her, that she just took someone's life, and it was for absolutely no reason, evidently.
Because up until now, like, she's been like, she'll attack people, but she's not killed anybody.
Yeah.
That we're aware of, at least.
Roma basically like talks her out of it, and at the same time he's declaring his love for her. They agree that when this is all over, the families are going to have a little chat. Chapter 34. Roma fesses up that his mother died by the Scarlet Gang, not an illness. So the White Flowers were basically spreading this rumor that Lady Montagova, there we go, that Lady Montagova had died from an illness, not by a rival gang, because they didn't want that to tarnish their reputation, basically. But Roma tells Juliet, no, it was actually the Scarlet Gang that killed my mother. She was found with a slit throat and a red rose in her hand. It had happened 2 weeks after the attack on Juliet's house, and she had left for America. There was nothing she could do about it. Page break. Benedict connects the dots that Zhang is not the monster, but his assistant, the old man, Kirin, is. At that moment, their building shakes and trembles, presumably from a bomb, and hundreds of people descend with communist colors. Roma orders Benedict and Marshall to the hospital to protect Alyssa, and Juliet orders Kathleen to go home and tell all the messengers to warn all the factory workers. Chapter 35. Once again, Roma and Juliet head to Zhang's apartment. They break down the door. The apartment is an absolute mess. It's starting to flood. It looks like a fight has happened, and in the corner, in a heap, lies Paul Dexter.
Which, as soon as they said flood, I was like, the monster's been here. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah. He comes to. He admits that he had fought the monster. As she is helping Paul up, he jabs her with a syringe before she can even react. He vaccinated her.
Which is not what I thought it was going to be. Like,
no,
when he said,
I didn't either.
Immediately when he was like, he has a syringe, I was like, oh. And then they were like, she's like, no, he vaccinated me. And I was like, wait, what?
Juliet realizes that she has heard his voice before, but from behind a mask. Paul is the Larkspur. He had brought a bug from England to basically take out his business competition in Shanghai so that he could have a monopoly on it. He had mistaken Kirin, the assistant, as Zhang the first time they had met, and he didn't know that he would create a monster that he did. It was a, quote, happy accident. Paul is like super gleeful to be telling his side of the story. Roma is in disbelief, and Juliet is just raging. Kirin then emerges from the bedroom, but he is the monster. He jumps from the balcony, and then bugs pour out of him. He is headed for the communist riots, and the casualties are gonna be a lot. Paul gets away.
It doesn't seem like it takes very many of these bugs to infect someone. Like, one's really all it takes. So, like, when you're pouring out in, like, droves like this, like,
it's going to be a lot of dead people. Paul gets away, and Roma and Juliet make a plan to warn everyone in the monster's path, because the monster always heads to the river. We don't really know why, I don't think.
No, couldn't figure out why either.
That part's never really explained. But they know that he's heading for the river, so they make a plan to, like, basically evacuate everyone between there and the river. I'm going to condense this down a little bit, because there's a lot that's going to happen. So the monster gets to the river just as Roma and Paul are basically having a showdown in the street. Roma is, one, jealous of Paul. He doesn't want anyone getting close to Juliet like that. But he also knows that he needs to take out Paul because he created the monster. And then Juliet sees them fighting. She sees the monster head for the river. She's yelling for Roma to run to help protect him. The monster erupts from the river. Bugs are everywhere. Chapter 36. Roma's hands goes to his throat.
Oh, no.
And that's it. That's all chapter 36 is. Chapter 37. Paul then whacks Juliet upside the head, and then he holds her head in the river to drown her.
Which is like, why would you vaccinate her and then try to drown her? Is it because, like, you wanted to save her because you loved her, and now you realize that just no matter what you do, she does not care for you, so you're just gonna
That's exactly what happened.
I was like, okay, that makes...
In his demented mind, he thought that if he vaccinated her, she was going to be like, oh, thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for saving me.
Draw the best pictures of me. Let's get married and have babies.
Yes. That's what he wanted to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So he's like, no, this isn't going to happen. So now you're going to drown. So he's plunging her head in the river, trying to drown her. She reaches behind her and she can feel in his coat that there's another syringe, and she stabs him with it. It's enough to like take him by surprise. He lets her go, and she twists around and shoots him in the head, plunging him into the river.
That'll do it.
Yep. Then she sets her sights on Ki-Ren, who had just started transforming back into a human. She apologizes for what she's about to do, and he like basically gives his blessing because he doesn't want to be a monster anymore either. And shoots him in the heart.
Yeah, it sounds like he's kind of an unwilling, reluctant monster here.
Yeah. Just as he's dying, his body basically splits in two, and one large bug comes out. Juliet then shoots that too.
I did not like this.
And then all of the bugs just kind of drop, and they go still.
Hive mind, like you said.
Yep. She finds Roma, who had just begun to claw his throat. And she had like basically killed the big bug just in time. And they leave to go wake Alyssa. Chapter 38. Alyssa wakes up finally, but she has guns pointed at her. Tyler is there with some other of his close gang members, and he is holding Benedict and Marshall hostage. Roma and Juliet bust up in there. They assess the situation, and Tyler is accusing her of being a traitor. And then Juliet tries to trick Tyler by saying, no, I'm actually tricking them. You don't understand what I'm doing. I'm playing like a two-sided war here. If you would just listen to my side of the story, you'd know everything.
It's genius. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
And she's just hoping that Roma isn't going to believe what she's saying at this point. She's like, surely he has to know that I care for him, that I love him, but that I'm saying this to save face. There's like a bunch of inner monologue stuff going on. But while Juliet's trying to trick Tyler, Marshall wrenches the gun away from one of the Scarlets and shoots him. And then the other hostage shoots Marshall. Or the other gang member shoots Marshall, sorry. Juliet realizes the only way out is to lie to Roma to make him believe that she had set him up. So then, in like a tit-for-tat situation, basically, Juliet kills Marshall. So Roma, Alyssa, and Benedict leave, followed shortly by Tyler and his other gang members. Juliet stays with Marshall. There's an epilogue, though. Juliet had sent Kathleen to fetch the big bug that had come out of Ki-Ren, but there's no big bug to be found. She does find Paul's briefcase, and she uncovers something surprising in there. It is not told to us readers. Page break. Juliet heads to a safe house where, ta-da! Marshall is living. She had given him the serum she had stolen from Dr. Lawrence right before she pretended to shoot him at the hospital. So she had basically shot a blank. She had slipped Marshall that vial. Marshall had seen her take the vial, so he knew what it was. He understood very quickly what he had to do. So he drank the stuff. She shot a blank. He pretended to die.
I like their little, like, kind of it's like friendly banter here. Like you can tell they like each other. Like not like in romantic relation, but they've like developed a relationship.
They're friendly.
Yeah.
As she's walking back home, a messenger from Kathleen finds her. She reads the line from Paul in a letter that says, "In the event of my death, release them all." Mm-mm. And that's where we're left on a cliffhanger, ladies.
It literally says to be continued.
Yeah. I will say the author's note is pretty cool. It actually goes into the history of Shanghai, especially in the 1920s, and about all the political turmoil that's happening. So if you do read this book, please read the author's note at the end. It was very enlightening. And then book 2 is called Our Violent Ends. I have not read it yet. You haven't read it yet either.
No, I have not.
I gave this book a 3 because it drug so much in some places. I was just like, okay, can we please get past this now? And I know if anyone knows me, you know that I am not a huge Shakespeare fan.
I am.
Coming from an English major, I know that's going to shock people. I don't care for Shakespeare, and Romeo and Juliet is especially one of the ones that I don't like because the communication trope is so strong.
I love it.
I cannot take a miscommunication trope. I cannot.
Oh, no, we complain about that a lot, but I actually do really like Romeo and Juliet, and I do like Shakespeare, but I don't know. I'm with you. Actually, when I was reading this, the length of the chapters, because I know that you are a reader, that you like to like read a chapter and then like get up and do something, or read a chapter and then go to bed. Like you don't like to like leave it halfway through a chapter. And I was reading some of these chapters going, this chapter is
they are so very long.
Bianca's probably like, oh.
Because I read this on Kindle, and at the bottom it tells you how many minutes are left depending on your reading speed. Yeah. And I mean, I'm a pretty fast reader.
You are.
Some of those would say like 15 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know. I was like, what?
But yeah, it drug a lot, especially when you're talking about all the politics of everything. And I'm just like, can we get back to the main point of the story, please? Like, I'm sure this is important for some subplot, but let's just move this along.
The next one is 509 pages.
Oh,
I was telling Bianca that several of the reviews I read for book 2 that they're not spoilery, have said I actually loved book 2 more than I loved book 1. They do say it's angsty in the first half. That doesn't spoil. I haven't read it either, but I think I'm going to. I don't know. Are you going to go to book 2?
Not immediately, just because I have some
not
other books that I need to read.
Yeah, not immediately for me either. But
I won't rule it out, but it's not going to be an immediate, I need to read this now.
So for you guys to decide if you want to read it, I'll give you the quick synopsis of it. It says the year is 1927 and Shanghai teeters on the edge of revolution. After sacrificing her relationship with Roma to protect him from the blood feud, Juliet has been a girl on a mission. One wrong move and her cousin will step in to usurp her place as the Scarlet Gang's heir. The only way to save the boy she loves from the wrath of the Scarlets is to have him want her dead for murdering his best friend in cold blood. If Juliet were actually guilty of the crime Roma believes she committed, his rejection might sting less. Roma is still reeling from Marshall's death, and his cousin Benedict will barely speak to him. Roma knows it's his fault for letting the ruthless Juliet back into his life, and he's determined to set things right, even if it means killing the girl he hates and loves with equal measure. Then a new monstrous danger emerges in the city, and those secrets keep them apart, Juliet must secure Roma's cooperation if they are to end the threat once and for all. Shanghai is already at a boiling point. The nationalists are marching in, whispers of civil war brew louder every day, and gangster rule faces complete annihilation. Roma and Juliet must put aside their differences to combat monsters and politics, but they aren't prepared for the biggest threat of all, protecting their hearts from each other. So,
okay.
Yeah. But I'm like, new monster? We didn't technically fully take care of the old monster.
Yeah. I was like, Kathleen couldn't find the big bug. I was like, what do you mean you can't find a gigantic bug the size of a person?
Yeah. Because they have a discussion. They're like, if she said it was there, we believe her. But like, I don't know if is there supposed to be a third book, or is book 2?
No, it's just a duology.
You know, I've said it before when you and I read, oh my God,
Divine Rivals.
Thank you. I was like,
I'm glad I was right. I was like, I can feel the vibes.
I almost said ruthless rivals, which is a mash of the 2 books, isn't it? Anyway, I've said it then. I'm really starting to appreciate the whole duology thing. I love a series, obviously, and most of my favorite things are series, but something about ending it in 2 books is just...
It's very really satisfying.
It actually is. It really is.
So now we'll transition to our last segment, recent reads and acquisitions. I don't have a whole lot, so I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot either, but go for it.
Oh, okay. There was a little book festival in Pensacola a couple weeks ago. Ooh. It was pretty neat. It was the first one. I hope they do it again, just at a different venue, because I don't think that they thought as many people would show up as they did. So I'm very proud of my city that all of these readers showed out for this book festival, but they need a bigger venue. But I got some used books. Well, I say used. They're like in perfect condition, but they were at a used bookseller. I got The Mysterious Benedict Society, Book 1 by Trenton Lee Stewart. This is technically a like middle grade book, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I was like, I'll pay $5 for it. That's fine. And then I picked up The Author's Guide to Murder, and it's by 3 different authors: Beatriz Williams, Lauren Wilig, and Karen White, who they're all, I won't say famous authors, but they have plenty of novels under their names. Mm-hmm. And then one of my pre-orders came in, A Whisper in the Walls by Scott Reintgen. This is the, wait, I grabbed the wrong one. Now I'm second guessing myself. Hold on.
It's okay.
My brain is mush right now. Books. Let me go to his website. It's part of the Waxway series. No, it's the right one. Okay.
I was say I haven't read any of those, so.
No, wait.
I don't know.
It is it's the wrong one. It's the Bone one, whatever the Bone one is. It's the 3rd book in the Waxway series. Crap, what's it called? The Bone. It's Bone something. Take me to your Goodreads page. I feel really dumb right now.
No, listen. When you read as many books as we do,
A Burning in the Bones. There
you go.
A Burning in the Bones is brand new, just came out. It's the end of his Waxway series. I was like, this is the second one. I grabbed the second one from the stack. I was like, this isn't right. Teach me to try to prepare for a podcast. What was it called again? I've already lost it. A Burning in the Bones.
I was like, I don't know.
Those are my recent acquisitions. My recent reads. I read Onyx Storm. Loved it. Perfect book. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, however you want to rank books. I loved it. And then I am currently reading, let me get the name right. It's technically, it's a book that it was written in Korean. It became super popular over in Korea, and they've translated it into English now. It's called Welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop.
I've seen that one, but I haven't.
It's by Hwang Bo-Reum. It's very cozy so far. It's basically just about this woman running a bookshop. Is it just almost halfway. I'm at like 40%. Do what?
Is it just a cozy, basically?
Yeah, so far. Nothing. You're basically getting a bunch of exposition about just different characters, which I appreciate, and it's all set in Korea, so you get some Korean culture going in there. And I'm just trying to expose myself to other things besides just fantasy, because I've just been in a fantasy mood for like 2 years now. So like,
nothing wrong with that, but I completely understand.
Yeah, I'm just trying something new. And it's cute so far.
I really do think though with our podcast that you do branch out. I mean,
I do try.
You do, but you like what you like. So I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's no change in that. But what have you been reading and or acquired?
So I've really only purchased like 3 books. One while we were on our trip this weekend, which was a Czech cookbook, but it's like in English. It's like completely in English, but it's like a Czech recipes cookbook, and it has a lot of it's one of those cookbooks that like gives you the information on like why it's a traditional dish, or like why it was eaten, or how it came about. So it's like more than a cookbook. So I bought that this weekend, but I also got 2 Waterstone signed editions.
What was the name of the cookbook? Sorry.
I honestly don't remember the exact name. It was just I could send it to you later, but it was just like a Czech cookbook.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I bought 2 like special edition books. One I've already read and told you guys about, The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong.
Okay.
Pretty sure I told everybody about that one already.
Yeah, I think you have. That sounds familiar.
I'm pretty interested. But Waterstones had a special edition where they sprayed like lavender edges and it's signed. I was like, okay, I loved that book enough that I want it for my trophy shelf, and it's pretty. So I got that one, and then I haven't read this one yet, but I was able to get a signed copy, also sprayed edges where it looks like there's blood running down the side.
Ooh.
It's Grady Hendrix Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I think I've said this like 3 times already, but I'm going to say it again. It's signed. I was so excited. So excited. They put a special page in this book for him to sign. Like instead of doing a book plate or something, it has a page that says signed by the author. Yeah. This little like demon and then his signature.
Is it in English?
Yeah, it's a Waterstones edition. Waterstones is the British seller. Oh, no.
I didn't know if you had picked it up in a different language.
No. This time, well, that Waterstones website, once I realized, because that's where I special ordered those books for me and you. Yeah. They have a lot of, like, special edition or exclusive editions or signed editions. And I was like, ooh. Now, do I have to pay again for the post office to deliver it to me? Yes. Is it worth it? I think so. Especially because right now I'm not just ordering like whatever. Like I'm only ordering things that it's like, okay, wait, I can get a signed copy of something, or I can get like a special edition version. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's really all I've bought. I'm trying to behave because as we've talked about, we know a move is inevitable for me. And when you ship things from like moving like I do, where you're not just like getting a U-Haul and driving across, it's not only like the amount of stuff, but it's determined by your weight as well. And books are heavy. So
very much so.
Trying very hard to keep in mind that whatever I buy, it needs to be like what I just told you guys about, where it's like something that like you would really want that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about 3 things I finished because, listen, yes, I also read Onyx Storm. I gave it a 4 out of 5. We've been having a whole discussion with our friends. Like, we have multiple friend group discussions going on about this book. Maybe we'll deep dive into the whole Empyrean series at some point, but, like, 4 out of 5. That's all you need to know. It's so new. I don't want to say any more than that,
Yeah.
But 3 books that I read. 2 are 5-star reads. The first one is Seducing and Killing Nazis by Sophie Poldermans. It is it's a nonfiction. It's fantastic. I learned about this book from Book Talk. It's not very long. It's only like 250 pages. Just do yourself a favor and read about these girls and what they did. These Dutch girls, 3 teenage Dutch girls, just wow. Like, they were young too. When you realize how young they were doing this, you're like, oh my gosh, okay. So I find that highly entertaining. The other book that I gave 5 stars to was The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett. I did a few TikToks about it, and I actually mentioned it when I purchased it a long time ago. And it's in a segment from like more than a year ago of like, what have you just recently purchased?
Yeah.
But I'm just now reading it, and it's the one that it's written in, it's not traditional. It's like emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages.
That's how all of her books are, because
Yeah,
I read another one by her.
All of hers are that way. I saw someone on TikTok that said she writes books for nosy girls. And after finishing this book, I kind of feel like she's not wrong. Because you're working through the case yourself, as these people in the book are working through it. Highly fascinated. It's the first time I've ever tabbed a book.
I think I read The Appeal. I'm trying to remember which one I read. Nope, it wasn't that one. Crap, which one did I read?
Let me see.
Go to my books.
You read The Appeal.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It was written the same way. I think I only gave it 3 stars, if I remember correctly. Because it was just okay to me. Where you wanted to be nosy and everything, I was in information overload.
Oh, see, I was like connecting dots and like, wait a second, why did they say that? And I was like over here trying to solve a mystery. I was all up in that, to the point that one of my best friends was like, okay, girl, I'm going to get it too. And I'm like, well, I'm clearly almost done with the book. I'm not going to stop reading. And she's like, no, don't stop reading. So then she started reading. She finished it in 2 days, and she would send me like a Marco, and she'd be like, okay, I'm on page this, and they just talked about this guy, and I'm very confused. Like, we were having actually, she and I have decided that we are going to do the Twyford Code, which is another one of Janice's. We're going to do that one together, like where we say, okay, this week, don't read past page this, and we're gonna like solve this mystery together.
Nice.
I know, I'm super excited. I love this. I plan to do like I'm trying to do more reviews on our social media, so I plan to like break down some more of these. Also, Janice Hallett commented on my TikToks about her book.
Really?
Yes, really.
That's exciting.
I know, I was like, ah! It was so sweet. I was like, ah! Yeah. So I was like, and that book for me, so like I would say if you tend to like more of Bianca's read style, then like go with what Bianca said. Maybe it's not for you. If you read more like my style, I devoured it, and she is now a 1-click buy. Like, I don't care, buying it. But she has a book that come out this year that's like supposed to be kind of the same concept, but I think it's actually a middle grade. And I'm like, don't care. Let's do it. Do it. The last book that I read that I wanted to mention, I actually didn't give it as many stars as one would think, which, listen, Goodreads is hard. I'm kind of I like my star system over on Fable better.
Oh yeah, I base everything on Fable now.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what as soon as I get to it, I'll tell you what my star rating was for this one on Fable, just because that's the most accurate. So I gave it 4 stars on Fable, and I really went back and forth with giving it 3.5, actually. and that's Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulik.
I love that book.
You loved it?
I gave it 5 stars, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was like, this is 5 stars. Absolutely 5 stars. I had a few problems, and it's that I felt like a lot of things were really, really good, and then all of a sudden it was like everything just like happened at once. It was like we did a whole lot of lead up to like having it once.
I gave it 5 stars.
I will say that very last page, and since you've read it, I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. Since you've read it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. It's the interaction with the little girl on like literally the last page. Yeah. I cried.
Understandable.
That to me got me. I cried. The thing with the dad, I'll be extremely vague, but the thing with the dad at the end,
yeah,
I was like, that's so stupid. Like, there were 2 instances in that entire book that didn't even like add up to that being a possibility. Like, I felt like that was a reach. I didn't like that.
I will say it was the winner of Reader's Favorite Horror Book in 2022 for Goodreads Choice Awards.
It was.
Finally, something beats Stephen King.
Actually, I think Stephen King gave it a blurb where he, like, commended it. Like, he gave it, like, a...
As he should. It deserved it.
And I feel really bad. I said Jason's name wrong when I was in my... I just finished this book, and I cried. And I was basically like, damn you, Jason. And I didn't say his name right. And then I found a post later where he was like, hi, I'm Jason Rekulik. And I was like, oh, shit. I called him Jason Rekulek.
It's Rekulak.
Yeah. So, but apparently it's Rekulik. So sorry.
Oh, okay.
He's never going to hear this, and he may never even see my TikTok where I said his name wrong, but...
Oh, well.
Oh, well. I would still recommend his books. Like, have you read anything else by him?
No, that's the only one.
Okay. So I am considering now reading the last one at the wedding by him that I think is fairly new. Yeah, just came out October. So...
Yeah.
I did like it. And actually, I just realized...
He's actually written a lot of children's stuff, too.
I was just looking, and I'm like, oh, wait, I have read books of his before. I didn't realize it. I own the X-Files and the Buffy the Vampire Slayer books that he wrote.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, I teetered on 3.5, 4 stars. I did end up giving it 4 stars on both Goodreads and Fable, but... I mean, I just had a few problems with it, but good enough that I would continue to read things that he writes, and I would recommend it. So, yeah.
And then, what do we have going on in the Place to Be Nation world?
More of the same, but in a good way. So you can join the Facebook group, join the discussions that they have over there. There's currently no tournament. I know a lot of times I'm like, we're in this tournament. It's because they take a lot of work, so they take a long time, but currently we are not in one. We do have the Place to Be website. Sorry, I almost said Facebook again. Website. We would love for you to check it out. There's all kinds of articles that go in depth. There's links to all of the podcasts that are on our feed, as well as the brother-sister feeds that we help promote as well. So you can check all of those out there. There's a new addition to Place to Be Nation, and that is a YouTube. And I want to shout out Callum and say thank you for all your hard work. But basically, they are taking current and past shows, and Callum is putting them up on YouTube in one feed. And what is really cool is if you want to only watch/listen to one specific show, like Pop Goes the Classics Disney, which is one of my other podcasts. He's got them in like collections for you. So it's like, here's all of the pops, or here's all of this. You will not, however, I'll give you the caveat, you will not find Bells with Books on the Place to Be YouTube, because Bianca and I already had it in place that we have our own, and I am still working on compiling all those and turning our current podcast into podcast on YouTube. No, they will not have any sort of visual other than just like a thing that tells you like what the name of the episode and maybe like quick things, but it's not going to change. You won't be able to watch us babble on. It'll just be for your listening, but a little bit easier to find. So that's what we got.
And as always, everyone, keep reading.